It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time on February 14th, 2023, Valentine's Day edition of Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you for the next 3 hours. And it was a beautiful day yesterday outside. Now I believe we're getting some rain. I know it was in the forecast, some high winds associated with it. And Brett, you're over in Arkansas. Have you gotten the brunt of it? Have you gotten the rain come through yet?
We have, but it's about to abate, about to stop, and it's going to be beautiful tomorrow. So we had the good one yesterday, had to pay for it today, and then back into a good stretch, I hope for sure. And now into the second day in the longest part of the year until football starts again. But the basketball was great last night. I really enjoyed the North Carolina-Miami game. Mm-hmm. I don't know how deep Miami is. I don't think they're very deep. I do. Yeah, I do. I don't think they're very deep. But I don't think that matters that much in the NCAA tournament anymore. And to go in there and late in the game, the announcers, and I think it was Fran Fraschilla, highlighted how good Larinaga's been against North Carolina and Duke since he's been at the U. That's impressive. He's not everybody's favorite. He got a lot of slings and arrows in his direction, most notably by Jim Boeheim of late. But Miami's one of those teams. Remember I asked a few weeks ago, and it's boiling down a little, but I think I've got Miami as one of those teams that could go to the Final Four, but I don't know if they can win it. But heck, if you get there, who knows?
And the chances certainly go up if you make it to the Final Four. But, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The depth kind of became an issue late in that game. They had a pretty good lead over North Carolina in the second half. North Carolina started to kind of chip away, and it looked like late in the second half that they could make it a game. It just was kind of too little too late for that. But we talked about it yesterday, how two of those games last night, Miami, North Carolina, West Virginia, and Baylor, were pretty big for the Tigers in terms of bubble teams, and it kind of worked out last night for the Tigers with Miami beating North Carolina and then Baylor getting a 79-69 win over West Virginia. And I saw Joe Lunardi put out his updated bracket today. I believe he has them as an 11 seed, but not one of the 11 seeds that has to play in Dayton. So they would be able to miss Dayton and kind of just start the tournament with everyone else, which I'm sure a lot of people would hope for instead of having to go play that Dayton game.
The Tigers with a one-slot improvement today at the net to 41. A lot of that's by virtue of not playing and everything going on around them in the ever-moving parts world of college basketball. But then the teams that kind of needed to get nicked up did. Tigers have to win. That's the biggest thing for them. Texas Tech with a big win. I thought that was impressive. Jay Morgan Harder guns up for his alma mater, the Red Raiders. What are winners like in Lubbock?
Crazy, actually. It'll either be like icy, much like what we get here, very icy with that weather, or it'll get to the point where it's like kind of like this time of year here. It's 60 degrees today, 70 degrees, but the mornings it'll be like 20 degrees. So you got your parka on as you walk to class, and by the time you're in that class, you got to strip down to your shorts and T-shirt. Yikes. So it's just about as unpredictable as it is here. That's what high on the plains is like.
And then when does the Bake Fest begin? When does the hot weather start?
Oh, my gosh.
Now?
Late March, April, maybe.
Next week?
Yeah, seriously. And then they have no infrastructure for putting up with rain. It's because it's not supposed to rain there. So anytime it rains, it floods. So you get some spring rain, and then you got
flattest place
ever.
And
then you got the It's the only humidity you ever have. Flattest place ever. It's the perfect way to describe it. You can see the weather coming for 3 days ahead. You don't need it. You don't need a weather channel there.
In college, I went to several football games at Southwest Conference places, but I've never been to Lubbock, never went for basketball, never went for football, because, man, you just don't stumble upon Lubbock. You got to want to get there.
I mean, when I first went
way out there.
I mean, 6 hours away from every city you've ever heard of in the state of Texas, except for Amarillo, I suppose.
Right.
But Lubbock is out there. I remember the first time I went, I get off the plane, and I've never been to Lubbock. I don't know much about Lubbock other than like Michael Crabtree and Mike Leach and stuff. And I'm getting out to the airport and driving there, and I mean, I thought I was in the desert.
Thought you were lost.
I mean, there's nothing from the airport to the school. There's nothing. Then you get to the school. It's obviously very beautiful. Tons of buildings and everything. There was nothing there, though.
It's out there. It's closer to the moon than it is to Dallas.
That's right.
I was about to say the closest I've ever been was to Lubbock is Dallas, and that's pretty far. So
it might be the place for us to go to our Aaron Rodgers dark space off the grid, and we're going to do that today at 4:30. And Brian's going to give our whole rundown. But at 4:30, we're going to have a lot of fun with in the theme of Aaron Rodgers. Excuse me, getting away from it all. We want to ask the listeners to chime in with this at 901-360-8255. You can text, you can call. We want you to chime in at 4:30 with this. If you had to go off to your dark space and you could be allowed a video of your favorite sports game of all time, just something that just warms the cockles of your heart, just on a really bad day, it makes you happy. You got your favorite sports video that you can take to dark space off the grid, your favorite sports book to take with you, and you can only follow and keep up with one Twitter account at the dark space off the grid. Who or what would that be? We would love to have that. It's going to be a lot of fun with Aaron Rodgers getting ready to just get away from it all, isn't he?
I mean, good for him. Get away from everything.
Who can afford to do that? Aaron Rodgers.
But only certain people can do that, and he's definitely one of them. But it's weird. It's weird, man.
I thought he had already started his Dark Places retreat, but I heard today he was on with some
Pat McAfee.
Pat McAfee show. Thank you. I didn't know which show it was.
He's
contractually bound to Pat McAfee.
They're buddy. It's the former football player ties.
Him and AJ Hawk.
Yeah, but he said today he hasn't started his Dark Place retreat yet. I guess that's because he went on the show. He probably won't go on the show when he's there yet. But I assumed he had already started, so I guess he hasn't started his quiet contemplation of where he's going to go next year yet.
The very contemplative Aaron Rodgers. Can y'all get away from it all? Can you shut everything off for days or weeks?
I cannot.
I don't want to.
I absolutely can. I don't know if this is a special ability or a curse, but I definitely can do that.
It might be a curse that I can't,
But I don't look at it as curse or I don't want to.
Yeah.
I want to know what's going on.
To be quite honest, I'm looking forward. I love basketball. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
It's certainly I love the NFL too. But basketball is just, I have a special place in my heart for basketball in and of itself. But I tell you what, I'm so excited for this All-Star weekend where I won't have to sit there and painstakingly watch all these games. Oh, I'm going to watch so many TV shows and movies and just get away from it all. So yeah, I definitely can.
I remember the last time I guess quote unquote had to get away from everything was the University of Memphis for incoming freshmen. They have some sort of camp you go to. I forget what it's called, but it's like a camp you go to. It's all incoming freshmen. It's just
spend the night in a cave.
Yeah, well, not really, but not a cave, but it's middle of nowhere, and you spend like 3 days there. And I didn't want to go. My girlfriend convinced me to go, and so we went. And you couldn't have your phone. There was no cell service out there. So I mean, I guess you could have your phone, but it wasn't going to work. And so I remember they would put like headlines on a chalkboard outside of like the cafeteria. And one day I walked up and it said like Todd Gurley has been traded to like Cleveland or something like that. And I had to ask like 15 people, is that true? Like, did Todd Gurley actually get traded? And nobody had an answer for me, and it wasn't true. So
I don't want to do it. I don't want to get away from it. And for me, the roughing it is the Four Seasons. I don't want to rough it. I don't want to camp. Camping days ended in Boy Scouts.
Were you
I know a lot of people would love it. Did what?
Were you a Boy Scout?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. I was never a Boy Scout.
Me either. You're better than Bryant and I.
Yeah, I was never a Boy Scout.
But that was the end of sleeping on the ground.
This might surprise you. I'm fairly indoorsy, Brett. I am not an outdoor person. I don't think I've ever slept on the ground, nor do I plan to at any point in my life.
Very overrated.
I would say it's very overrated. If anyone
Around
rates
the
it,
old campfire, very overrated.
I think my dad would disagree with me. He's fairly outdoorsy, but I would say anybody that rates it at all is overrating it. I would put it bottom on my list for sure.
I tell people I would love to go brim or crappie fishing.
Ooh.
If somebody would bait the hook, work the net if I catch it,
Oh, man.
then get the fish off the hook, rebait the hook, clean the fish, cook the fish, clean up the mess after cooking the fish, and me eat the fish.
It's all the fun in it,
Sounds
Brett.
like you need to make a call to Bill Harder, Brett, because those are all the things that he does for me when we go fishing. You just described exactly my father and I's relationship when we're out on the boat doing some fishing.
No, a sand trap or a green is about as rough as I want to get in the outdoors.
See, I love fishing. Fishing is one of my favorite hobbies. I love it.
I did like small pond brim crappie fishing. No way on deep sea fishing, and no way
I don't
on
do
like
deep sea
large
fishing.
lake bass fishing. Too slow, too monotonous.
I don't think there's any scenario in any universe, in any parallel universe, that I would have had on my bingo card today that Brian Takis loves to fish.
I love fishing. I don't do it as much as I would like, but I do love some fishing.
I learned a lot about Brian
Get the
today.
worms out, do live worms, get them out, and
Wow.
put them on the hook. And
Small pond.
yeah, so my buddy has a bunch of land, and we go out there on some weekends and fish. He's got like
Don't
a
tell
couple
me it's your
ponds.
buddy
Great.
that's the rapper.
No, it is not. No,
Okay,
he does
'cause-
not fish. No.
I mean, if you had a buddy that
Yeah.
was a rapper that loved to brim and crappie fish,
This one
that
is
would
a,
really win the bingo card.
No. This one is a tow truck driver, so kind of right up his alley, I guess.
So he's the fisherman.
He
We
is.
are in our family leisure studios. We do like to get outside around the pool and things like that. With everything from family leisure, 2120 Witten Road. Right now, the floor model sale ongoing. Wherever we are, always we are in our family leisure studio, and we very much appreciate it. So college basketball this weekend, especially after the NBA, kind of when it plays its last game on Thursday before the break. This is the weekend for college basketball because the XFL is not going to push it. Even Tigers' return at Riviera won't be too damaging. This is the weekend. We need every game that's kind of on the bigger networks to be spellbinding, where people will really turn on the college basketball.
Yeah, I haven't even looked at the weekend, but some good games: Iowa State, Kansas State, Tennessee, Kentucky, Baylor, Kansas. So yeah, there's some really good games this weekend. You're right. I don't know.
I'm going to Arkansas, Florida, and
that'll be a
that's not
fun
one
game.
of the great ones.
No,
but
it should be a fun game.
Has some intrigue.
Yeah.
It does, but it's not one of the great ones. But this is the weekend at college basketball because it's later. It feels later and later and later for it to grab kind of the sports, the body politic of sports.
Yeah.
Well, how fortuitous that it's also the NBA All-Star Weekend for college basketball as well. You mentioned Tiger Woods and stuff like that, but no football. Like you said, these spring football leagues aren't necessarily going to capture attention. And if you like basketball, it's really the only basketball that's on for anybody to watch this weekend.
Yeah, I guess it is kind of a good time with the Super Bowl being last weekend and All-Star Weekend. Kind of fell right in for a good spot for college basketball.
Yeah, it should. And I mentioned the Tigers move up to 41 today. We will visit with the voice of the Tigers in this show later today. And Brian, I told you before we came on today, the more I look at the Tigers' losses, might address this with Dave.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Tigers, by no means do I think this is a bad Tigers team. This is a pretty good Tigers team.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's great, plays hard, does some things well, does some other things not so well. Excuse me. But you look at the losses to St. Louis U, 16-9.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. It was on the road early in the year. Seton Hall, buzzer 3.
Yep.
Seton Hall's 15-11.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Right there on the bubble.
And neither one of those are embarrassing.
No.
Bama speaks for itself. Tulane twice is the thing, but it's not embarrassing.
No, that's a good team.
16-7. Tulane would like to have back 2 or 3 in that November-December period, or at least 1 or 2. And then Thursday night opponent, UCF, 15-9 on the road. in one of the wilder games of the year
Double overtime,
this year in college basketball.
Yeah.
So none of those are just go, yeah, you lose to that, you're out. Even twice to Tulane is not the nullification. It's not the disqualification that it felt like leaving FedEx Forum the day it happened.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And even talking about those Tulane teams, I mean, this is a Tulane program that I think everyone has picked to be the team on the upward trajectory and improving every season, could be one of those top teams in the league. But yeah, when you look at that schedule as a whole, I mean, to be able to go on the road and lose to the current number one team in the country in a very close game, and I think that also kind of plays a factor into how Penny Hardaway scheduled this season with that non-conference slate.
What's a worse loss, at St. Louis or at Tulane? Is at St. Louis the worst loss?
Well, league.
Yeah, with being a league game, I'd say St. Louis.
St. Louis, I see.
That's probably how I would go. But let me set up today's show before we get into top and not top story of the day. Like Brett mentioned, we're going to talk to Dave Woloshin at 3:30, the voice of the Tigers. We'll talk all things Tiger basketball. 3:45, we'll get into some Grizzlies. 4 o'clock, we'll talk to Brent Beard from First Coast News in Jacksonville about some college football, some college basketball. We definitely got to get his thoughts on Texas and Oklahoma officially joining the SEC in 2024. At 4:30, Brett already talked about it. Aaron Rodgers is going off to his dark retreat. So we're going to talk about what we would do on our dark retreat if we had to go on one. 4:45, big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Beau Marchant to talk about the NFL. 5:30, we'll do What's Trending. And at 5:45, we'll wrap it up like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all 2023 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
My top story of the day is really what we were just talking about with the Tigers. It seems like you continue to win these games and you put yourself in a pretty good spot. Joe Lunardi, who hadn't really posted any bracket updates or anything about the bubble over the weekend, he released his updated bracketology today. He has the Tigers as the 11th seed. In his bracket, if it was to start today, and this was the bracket, he has Memphis starting the tournament off against TCU. He does have Memphis as his final team in the last 4 byes, but you kind of look at those teams around it. We talked about them yesterday, about how a lot of them are some of these quote-unquote Power 5 schools that will play more quad 1 games going down to the season, but you kind of see the teams in front of them and behind them that played last night, with West Virginia currently the first in the last 4 byes. They lost last night. North Carolina, who's in the last 4 in, they also lost last night. So I think the Tigers are currently sitting in a good spot right now, but it's the same thing as key. You got to keep winning these conference games, and you can't kind of find yourself in a situation where you drop a game that you should have won. But right now, I think they're in a pretty good spot.
My top story on a day of a dearth of top stories is Denver is threatening to run off and hide in the Western Conference. Always a lot that can happen on the injury front, but if they stay injury-free, look out. Up 4 in the all-important loss column over the Grizzlies, and now that number of go-for-it teams, those window-open teams, seems to be shrinking in the West. Maybe Phoenix emerging with the deals. We'll see how some of the deals transpire. I don't think Dallas even with that blockbuster deal. But it feels like it's settling in for Denver being the front runner. They're slamming a lot of windows shut. 13th in overall defense, 5th in the West in overall defense. It's not a bad defensive team, but at playoff time, you'll have to play a little more, and that's not their best quality. But what they do really well, they do it really well. And I think they're about to run off and hide in the West.
I think you're right. We kind of talked about it yesterday with them being the team kind of in a league above everyone else in the Western Conference. They've been playing some good ball.
Not top story of the day.
My not top story of the day is some breaking news that kind of just released a little bit ago, is that Derek Carr has been released from the Las Vegas Raiders. So now it will be up to him in free agency of where kind of he lands, what that next spot is. I know some people have been linking him to maybe the New York Jets with some of the hires they've made and some links to him. I think everyone's kind of been linked to the Jets this offseason. So it'll be interesting to see where Derek Carr goes, but he made some good throws in the Pro Bowl skills competition. I don't know if coaches will be looking at that since he doesn't have much film from the later part of the season, but it'll be interesting to see where he finds a landing spot over the offseason.
Yeah, I don't know if the Pro Bowl skills competition is the big audition for a blockbuster deal. I think what he's done in his career is noteworthy.
Yeah.
He was a great Raiders player. Is he number one all time in all the Raiders passing yards, touchdowns? I bet he is. And you know, those guys just don't come around, but everybody needs a break from each other with that one. My not top story, the NFL offseason, it starts now. Rodgers, Carr, Lamar, free agents, draft, combine coming up soon, pro days, OTAs. It never ends for the number one sport in the country, and we'll get TV news soon. We'll get some scheduling news, a bit of scheduling news, but here's one thing you can get ready for. Opening Thursday night on NBC next year, and they are scheduled to play, and you know TV will flex for this. It'll be Philadelphia at Kansas City. The champs will get the rematch against the team they defeated in the Super Bowl. I said it last week. Super Bowl defeated quarterbacks, sometimes it can get lonely. Sometimes they can get forgotten. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is going to become Rex Grossman or even Jimmy Garoppolo or anything like that. But sometimes it happens, and on opening night next year, the questions around Jalen Hurts will be enormous. There won't be any around his opponent, Patrick Mahomes.
No, not at all. And then that should be a good game. I mean, if that game's anything like what we got in the Super Bowl, it'll be a great game to kick off the season.
Derek Carr is the all-time passing leader for the Raiders. He doubled up Kenny Stabler and Rich Gannon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
That is prolific to do that. And not only he did it, but in this passing era, you know, a lot of guys are the all-time leaders, but he's been that good. What's the best fit for him?
Ooh, I don't know. I can't even start.
If the Titans lose,
I was just about to say
if the Titans lose Tannehill, give me Derek Carr. Also, the Jets could use Derek Carr. They might be a quarterback away.
Everybody has been linking quarterbacks to the Jets.
Well, because they need one.
That's true, but I mean, it seems like every quarterback's going to be a Jet next year.
Feels like they're just a quarterback away, doesn't it?
I agree. I love that football team.
And they've got a ton of young pieces.
Hey, if Mike White can rattle off wins for the Jets, anybody can.
That's a very good point.
Had two NFL hires basically over the last 2 days, and all the NFL coaching jobs they've now been filled. Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, he's going to be the new coach of the Colts, and the defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, is going to be the defensive coordinator in the stadium where his defense collapsed in the second half. He'll be the new head coach of Arizona. So all 32 jobs now filled in the NFL. And there was not a single opening that even flirted with a college guy this year, was it?
Not that I can think of.
And I don't even know how many college coordinator positions were filled by NFL guys either.
Yeah.
It's such a strange. I've never seen it this separate before.
It is very separate. I want to visit with Bo Marchand about that. It is very separate. I mean, it's the same sport, but it's very different.
Very different. And you're right. I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, Jim Harbaugh was really the only one that was kind of linked to a job from the college ranks, and he kind of shut that down.
Most of that was him doing the linking.
Yeah. So.
Or his people. I don't know if it was anybody really going for him. You got a lot of new coaches, but you got Sean Payton getting another chance. You got Frank Reich getting another chance. I love the DeMeco Ryans.
Yeah, I think that's a good one.
Honestly, until about the last 3 weeks. I didn't know who the Eagles coordinators even were.
Never heard of him.
No.
Never heard of him in my life, Brett, until the Super Bowl.
But hopefully they can be good head coaches. Who knows? It'll be only time will tell, right?
But no. I mean, it was not even. And I'm trying to think, who the college guy that would even other than Harbaugh would even be kind of open to it. It is a distinct separation. Now, you're a college guy or you're a pro guy, and those pro buildings, you read the Steichen biography. I mean, as recently as 2015, he was quality control guy.
Yeah, it's
that's close to the last guy in the building.
It really is. But that is interesting. I hadn't even thought about that before, but that is it's really fascinating.
It might be you just don't have as much control as a college head coach you used to have with all the different factors that are involved.
Like what kind of factors?
Well, NIL for one thing, players leaving all the time, and your control is far less than it used to be.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. But let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk some Tiger basketball with the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Acura of Memphis invites you to experience the all-new, completely redesigned 2022 Acura MDX. It's the most advanced SUV Acura has ever built. Experience the convenience of full connectivity, including built-in Alexa, Wi-Fi hotspot, and wireless charging, from the stunning interior complete with third-row seating. Stop by our state-of-the-art facility and take advantage of our aggressive APR offers today at Ridgeway and 385. Or shop online from the convenience of home now. Visit AcuraofMemphis.com.
These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Free, yeah. Add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidate worth interviewing. Did you know every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Wow. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/herd, linkedin.com/herd to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. The show is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you're at your best, you can do great things. Working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of yourself. BetterHelp is a great therapy option. It's flexible, affordable, and entirely online. Let therapy help empower you. Visit betterhelp.com/herd. betterhelp.com/herd to get 10% off your first month. BetterHelp, HELP.com/herd.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs.
I never thought about space in my cramped apartment, but in this house, all I see is empty space. The sofa and ottoman look like tiny islands in a sea of hardwood floors. I could get 2 ottomans in the living room, but then I'd need another sofa. I could tell people I'm into minimalism.
Anyway, when you save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto, that's the easy part of adjusting to the suburbs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Kraft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you. And to talk some Tiger basketball, Dave Woloshin, the voice of the Tigers, joining us now. You can hear him doing every single Tiger basketball and football game. You can also hear him every morning with Wolo and friends. Dave, thanks for joining us. And Tigers have now won 2 games in a row. What went well for them Sunday morning against Temple?
Balance. They 2 games in a row now have had 2 guys in the 20s. That's the dynamic combination of Williams and Davis. And then it could be McCadden. It could be Kennedy. One of those 2 guys. Jaden Hardaway has had double digits now. Between those 3 guys, you're finding 4 guys in the last couple of games that you just mentioned that have added balance to the University of Memphis. And DeAndre Williams is playing like a guy who's 26 years old and is a man. I mean, that's just the way he's playing. In conference play, the guy's now averaging 20 points and about 9 1/3 rebounds. And he's living up to what we all thought he could be. And he himself told me on the postgame show, this is the best basketball he's ever played.
And he is playing it next Sunday, or this coming Sunday, this Sunday afternoon. He will go home to Houston to play the Cougars. But first on Thursday night, UCF, and that's a payback for one of the more crushing losses in a long time in Tiger basketball. It would have been one of the all-time wins, too. It was such a well-played game, and ended up being a heartbreaking loss. And Brian and I just went over these losses, these 6 losses for the Tigers. And Dave, there's just not the dreadful loss, not one out of this 6. Now, you certainly wouldn't prefer 2 losses to Tulane, but that doesn't even smart. That doesn't cut to the quick like it did leaving FedEx Forum that day. That doesn't feel as bad as it did.
I still, the game against UCF you blew, and the game at home against Tulane you blew. Tulane's a good team. I don't have a problem with losing at New Orleans, particularly since I don't think Memphis realized how good they were. They should, because they've been good since Ron Hunter got there. But you had that game won. I mean, you missed front ends of 1-1 that would have put the game away in regulation. You should have won the game by 8 points. I mean, it shouldn't have been close. And then you turned the ball over so many times. You gave away 30 points on points off turnovers. I mean, that can't happen, and they've done a lot better since that loss. They have really done a great job of taking care of the ball. I think they're under double digits with turnovers in both those last 2 games. And the one area they got to shore up a little bit, and it really showed against UCF in that double overtime game there, was defense. I mean, they are not as good a defensive team as they were a year ago. That is for certain, and they're definitely porous when it comes to perimeter defense and allowing threes.
So after that loss to Tulane, they go into the road and beat USF, and we kind of talked yesterday on the show about kind of what has been the best win for the Tigers this season. And after the game Sunday, somebody asked Penny what the best loss or best win in his opinion this season's been, and he said it was beating USF on the road because losing 2 games in a row, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he basically said they wouldn't even be flirting with the bubble right now if they had lost that game to USF. Do you agree with that sentiment that win against USF was probably the biggest win of the season?
I don't know that I would agree with that. I think Penny said that because it was the most recent game, and it was a game they had to have because
and that's the time of year.
Yeah.
And because they had just lost to Tulane. I think if we're going to really examine it, maybe the best overall game was to go and beat Cincinnati handily the way they did in the shoe. That's not an easy thing, and that's probably the last time we'll ever play in the shoe unless they can get sort of a home and home with Wes Miller agreeing to it, because that is as long a running opponent as Memphis has. Louisville, Cincinnati, Southern Miss, those are the 3. I hope that's the case, but that was a heck of a win. That was Memphis played good on both sides of the ball there. They turned you over. They shared the ball. I was really impressed with that W. Then, Auburn on a neutral, when Auburn was still, what were they, 5 or 6 in the country? I mean, they were up there.
And it wasn't really neutral.
No, it wasn't neutral. And then really turning around the next game and playing Alabama in Tuscaloosa to a 3-point game. Same place, by the way, Kentucky lost by 26. I mean, that was pretty impressive, too. That was a good stretch.
It has been. Dave, along those lines, I know you I know you well, and I know that you do enjoy what you do, who you're doing it with, who you're doing it for, your love for the University of Memphis and for the history of Tiger basketball. You know it, you love it. But some years are more fun than others. The ones that end in the final game or the Final Four are always more fun. For you personally, has this year been fun?
Yes. I like these guys. And
it feels like it. It sounds like it, Dave, when I listen.
2 years ago, those guys, drama. They didn't like each other. There was such selfishness.
COVID.
And COVID. That really was not fun. Doing games in the studio when, technically you're not getting everything you're supposed to get. Right. You're behind. You're making stuff up.
You're wearing a mask.
I mean, that was awful. That was just the worst. That was the year Memphis won the NIT. That part of it was fun when we finally got to go on the road and they went on a championship run. And by the way, played pretty good there. So that part was pretty fun. Last year there was a lot of drama. I really liked Duran. He was the one guy I thought really kept his nose to the grindstone. He had problems with Bates, and his dad was not a good guy. Nolly was a pain in the butt. If he hadn't been, he'd still be here.
Yeah.
As good a guy as Tyler Harris, I think, has turned out to be. He had moments where he wanted the ball more. Lester Quinones was not getting along with guys off the court. I thought he was a good guy on the court. But it wasn't like this year where everybody knows their roles. You got interesting guys. I mean, Kendrick Davis is an interesting guy to talk to. He's got a little bit different outlook on life. He's got a young son he's thinking about, and everything that I've seen from him shows me he's a good dad, which I always respect.
Me too.
So I like these guys. And you guys are the right guys to ask. Brian, I'll probably talk to you about this on Friday, but Brett, you're a historian, not of just the SEC, but of Memphis. And I go back, and I was thinking about this. You can go back last year to like Duran and Williams, Duran and Quinones, Duran and Nolly.
He's number one.
The best two-man combo that Memphis has seen while I've been doing games was Derrick Rose and Chris Douglas-Robinson.
Yeah.
Now, you could go back to Penny's years because I was doing those games on TV. In that there might have been somebody in there that I'm not thinking about, but
Billy
I think
Smith.
that's the best.
Yeah.
I think the next best is Williams and Kendrick Davis.
Dave, I think you're right, and I did this, and I know you have as well, and I know Matt Dillon, comparing just the 1 year guys. You knew it on the day they got here that it was going to be 1 year. During last year, Derrick Rose, Larry Keenan, and now this year, Kendrick Davis, and there are a lot more that just had a Tyreek. Well, I mean, you knew it was going to be 1 year. Start in November, it's going to end whenever the last loss occurs, whenever that happens. I think Kendrick Davis has had the greatest 1 year of anybody in Tiger history.
I'll tell you this. It's funny you say that because Larry Keenan got to the championship game, so that's a pretty good 1 year.
It is,
Derrick
but the slash line, the statistical line.
Right. Derrick Rose got to the championship game. That's a pretty good 1 year. On the next Penny TV show, which you'll watch Sunday night, I do mention Larry Keenan because Larry Keenan's bobblehead night is coming up. And I said, that was a pretty good 1 year deal, kind of like Kendrick Davis. I didn't even go to Derrick Rose. It's a tease in the last portion of the show. Who else are you going to talk about? The Four Kings guy, what was his name? Came from Missouri. Played with Jaron Johnson, Joe Jackson. Michael Dickerson or something.
Michael
like that?
Dixon Jr.
Michael
the
Dixon
guard.
Jr. He's not in the mix. I'll tell you
No.
that.
Loved Michael Dixon Jr.
And that Larry Keenan year, I want to say it started 0-2 or 0-3 in 72-73.
It did. It started off very poorly. They turned it around in a big way.
Yeah, they did.
And but if Kendrick Davis leads us to the Final Four, then he's definitely up there with Rose.
Yeah.
And he's definitely up there with Keenan. But just individual numbers, he's going to be the best because he's probably the best player on the team, and then Williams is a close second.
All right, so this week, I know in the team world, everybody's locked in on Thursday night, but we don't have to do that. We can look ahead. I know Coach Hardaway and staff, they're not. Thursday night, UCF at home, and then Sunday at Houston. Dave, I said this yesterday about me. True confession here. I don't think they're going to beat Houston both times this year. I didn't think it last year either, and they did.
I would tell you this. Malcolm Gendrich has to play in that game, I think, for Memphis to have a chance because they are a physical group. And they got that kid Roberts in the middle and C.J. Walker, the freshman. I think it's C.J. Walker's his name. And they're men. You got to have some bodies for fouls in there.
They are men.
I can't imagine what's going to happen with KO. Is getting better. I got to say this. Joey Dorsey, I love the guy. I loved him when he was a player. He was always a little flaky, but he was so honest and forthright and gave you everything he had. He has done the same thing coaching Keo Dirci, Akabundo, Yegu. He really has.
Now that's just showing off, rolling it off like that quick like that, Dave, when nobody else can. That's just showing out.
Hey, I've been saying his name now for goodness sakes, for 25 games. Really, 27 with the exhibition games.
That's right.
I better have it down or fire me.
I just cheat and say KO.
Yeah, me too.
Well, KO has really improved. I mean, not to the point where he's going to go and dominate Houston because they're going to knock him around. But he has gotten better. You've got to have physicality against that team, and Alo would help too. I think there's a chance Alo's going to play Thursday.
Oh wow, that'd be massive. I want to ask you about DeAndre because he's been playing so well, but something that I think a lot of people are starting to notice is kind of earlier in the season, conference play start. You saw kind of the fouling out. You saw him getting teed up every once in a while, and that seemed to have kind of slowed down. I can't even remember the last time he's received a technical in the game. How much has he kind of matured through this season, even though being the oldest guy on the team? How much has he matured in kind of that aspect of the game?
A great deal. He had fouled out, and I want to say, I don't know, maybe 10 games in, 12 games in. He fouled out 6 times.
Yeah.
And they got to have him on the floor. He's the second best player, maybe the best player on the team the last couple of games. You've got to have him on the floor. He knows that. And you know what? Kendrick Davis has been whispering that in his ear. I hate to say this about DeAndre because I can't now because he's grown up in the last couple of years. Last year, he used that back to not practice. He didn't want to practice.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was as good as he could have been. This year, he knows it's the last year. He's got a teammate in Davis that's pushing the heck out of him. He's been challenged a lot more this year by Penny Hardaway, and he's come to play. I mean, all you have to do is look at his rebound numbers from earlier in the year to now. He's decided he's going to rebound, and when he does, he's really good. And he's just decided he's going to play harder. And honestly, I don't know of anybody in the league, maybe Roberts, certainly not the kid from Cincinnati, Locken. We haven't seen Michael Durr. He's been hurt. There's not a center that's big enough, strong enough, quick enough to stay with the 26-year-old. There isn't.
No.
He can score at will when the Tigers need a bucket, and so can KD. That's what's a beauty when you got two 20-point scorers that essentially really play off of each other and are not selfish. It's fun. That's why I'm having fun.
Last thing for our friend Dave Woloshin, host of Wolo and Friends, you hear every day from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on this very radio station, and you've heard him forever doing Tigers football and basketball games in this market. Dave, the Chicago historian that you are, what's the how hard one for you? Worst deal of all time, to not get Patrick Mahomes and trade up to get Mitch Trubisky, or Brock for Brolio?
You know that. You know that deal. I was a kid. I'm still scarred. Lou Brock
I'm
for
sorry, Dave.
Brolio. Are you kidding me? Hands down, that's the worst.
Yeah,
But
and you actually had
I will say
him.
this.
You never really had Mahomes.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes, my gosh. Where did he end up going? What number? There's a lot of teams missed on Mahomes.
Yeah.
They thought he was a Cliff Kingsbury system guy.
Sure did.
Right. Isn't that what they thought?
Yeah, he
They
went
didn't
10th.
think
That's right.
He could be this guy's too small, not quick enough. It's all the system. Well, it obviously was not. The guy is. I love what ESPN wrote on their website the day after the Super Bowl. He is the GOAT in training.
And you were T3 on our picks. Good pick for you last week.
Wow, top three.
Is that tight T3?
T3. That's a big check at the FedEx St. Jude Classic.
Sure is.
Big check in Phoenix. You see what Scheffler got for winning?
Dave,
3.6 mil.
we're up against it, but I do want to talk to you about this on and off the air. The PGA Tour players ought to send Liv thank you notes.
Got to.
Yeah, they should. 3.6 mil.
And it also proved that Phil Mickelson was right all those years going, y'all are sitting on dough you have.
Yeah.
We were having this discussion at lunch, and I think there was a great gentleman who was a great amateur golfer, Dr. Coors. And he was a really good player. He decided to become a doctor because he could not make money. And he cited one year, and I think it was Gil Morgan or somebody like that the guy was finished 25th on the tour, and he couldn't live. If you finish 25th on the tour now, how much money are you making?
You can't spend it all.
Yeah, good amount.
You can't spend it all. That's exactly right.
Well, Dave, thanks for joining us. We'll be listening to you Thursday night and on Sunday, and we'll talk to you again next week.
And I'll be with you in the morning in the studio.
Yes, look forward to that.
You got it, man. Thanks Dave.
Dave Woloshin, voice of the Tigers. You can also hear him every morning with Wolo and Friends. But let's get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the Grizzlies, what's been going on in the Western Conference and their game tomorrow night. That's next on Sportstime.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey y'all, it's the Mid-South Sports Boat and RV Show, February 17th through the 19th at the Agri Center. Come buy your new boat and make some memories at the lake this summer with family and friends. Premier dealers showcasing the newest ski boats, pontoons, fishing boats with huge show specials. Enter your chance to win daily door prizes like a surfboard from Counts Marine and much more. It's all at the Mid-South Sports Boat and RV Show, February 17th through the 19th. For more info, go to MemphisBoatShow.com. That's MemphisBoatShow.com.
At the Agri Center.
Hiring is hard. Luckily, there's Indeed. The hiring platform makes it easy to attract, screen, and interview candidates from the same place. Just sponsor a job, and you'll immediately get a short list of quality candidates on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit to get started.
Los Cabos is famous for their authentic Mexican food, great steak fajitas, enchilada tacos, and unbelievable seafood freshly flown in from crab legs to shrimp, and Los Cabos handcrafted margaritas. Come watch your favorite game. 4 locations to choose from: Quince, Bartlett, Germantown, and Goodman Road. Take advantage of the Los Cabos Daily Happy Hour specials. Monday and Tuesdays, 2-for-1 margaritas on the rocks from 3 to 7 p.m. Tuesday and Wednesday from 3 to 7 p.m., Margaritas Jumbo, $6.99, Flavored Margarita Jumbo, $7.99, and House Wine, $4. Los Cabos Weekend Special is Jumbo Lime Margaritas, $6.99. Come to Los Cabos, best Mexican sports bar in town. Get a Sports 56 beer and lunch special starting at $7. Daily beer specials, all draft beer, 16-ounce, $2.99. Los Cabos, the best Mexican sports bar in town.
Celebrating Living Legends of Black History, brought to you by Charmin. Back in a moment.
We all gotta go, right? But why not enjoy the go with Charmin? You need something soft and long-lasting? Well, they got you with Charmin Super Mega Rolls. Charmin knows softness counts when wiping your hiney. Charmin is irresistibly soft and more absorbent, so you can use less. Now, I don't know about you, but my family can run through some toilet paper, but not with Charmin and their long-lasting Super Mega Rolls. We all go, so why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
With a warm, genial presence and a wise, authoritative demeanor, Morgan Freeman has been the perfect fit to play presidents and even gods. He began performing in school plays at age 12, but it was by age 50 when he won his first Oscar nomination for Street Smart and later an award for $1 Million Baby. Morgan Freeman remains one of the most respected and beloved figures in modern U.S. cinema, celebrating living legends of Black history with Charmin.
We told you this was going to happen, and now it has. The floor model sale is happening at Family Leisure. Lowest prices of the year on pool tables, on those wonderful spas, on patio furniture, state-of-the-art, and, of course, the game tables. Floor model arcades are now starting at $1,200. It's your last chance for a 2022 pool. And floor model trampolines are only $2,100. That's the installed price. Family Leisure, I-40 and Wooden Road, where family and fun come together.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you. And the Grizzlies had their last game on Sunday. They don't play again until Wednesday night, but Brett, you talked about it earlier. Denver kind of starting to separate themselves from everybody else in the Western Conference. Now the Grizzlies sitting 5 games behind the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference.
That was impressive what Denver did last night in Miami. Mm-hmm. And even though the margin wasn't a wide margin, if you watch that game, and I know you did, Jay Morgan, I bet you watched some of it, Brian. Yep. I watched a lot of it. It was easy. I mean, they were kind of just swatting them away, kind of toyed with Miami at Miami. And Eric Spoelstra's big-time coach, and Malone and company made it look easy. And watching that last night, I thought, man, these guys aren't even breathing hard right now. Of course, as I said in the top story, you let the wrong injury happen, and that loss column, that'll dissipate in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But, I mean, 57% from the field last night for Denver, and Jokic, you know you're going to get a big game from him every night, 12 for 14 from the field. I mean, this is all season we've been saying this is a good team.
Jay Morgan, he's not ball dominant. I mean, he's almost too unselfish.
His passing numbers indicate that. You're absolutely right. Actually, my big number,
great passing.
My big number was inspired by watching this game last night. It actually was, seriously. Wow. And to be fair about the Heat too. I know we're talking mostly about the Nuggets because they're in the top of the league, but the Heat still, to me, are a team that I think the way they're constructed, just how good they are at defense, I guess that's not a good night to say it when your opponent shoots 57%, but they're still in the basketball game. Yeah. I mean, they lost by 4. They were in it down the stretch.
That's them. That's Spoelstra.
It's exactly right. And for that reason, and Jimmy Butler always turns it to another level when you get in the playoffs, they shorten that rotation. The Heat are a team for me, and they get everybody healthy, let's say. The Heat are a team for me that I still think not as good as the Celtics, but you could be watching them play a lot of basketball when the playoffs come around.
The Heat, they're dealing with a couple injuries, right?
Quite a few. The big Omar Yurtseven is hurt.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry didn't play last night either. Tyler Hero's out last night, so yeah, they do have some injuries.
Yeah, that could be a dangerous team in the East.
Whenever Popovich retires, and with this losing streak and kind of the full bore tank for Wemby, it might be after this year. Spoelstra will be the number one coach in seniority. He's currently second, hired April 28th, 2008 by Miami. They've got an organization. They've got a system. They've got something everybody else tries to emulate. They really do.
Namely, the Celtics did the same thing. They want Brad Stevens to be in that Pat Riley role of coach emeritus. Who knows? Maybe one day Brad he'll come back down and go coach again. Maybe. Brad Stevens will. But you're absolutely right. I think, namely, the Celtics are trying to emulate that exact formula.
It's hard to believe Spoelstra's been there since 2008. Been there a while.
LeBron's coach.
Yeah, that's right. Man.
And famously in a late game situation, LeBron kind of gave him the business and brushed him off. Remember in a game one time.
A lot of people kind of like going after Spoelstra in terms of players.
I love Heat culture. I'll straight up say it. I love it. They run sprints in the preseason. Yeah. They're the only team that still runs a traditional preseason. Spoelstra will go back and forth with players. They just got rid of Dwayne Dedman, who threw the Theragun massager on the court. Right. But last year it was Jimmy Butler. It was Jimmy Butler that argued with Spoelstra, and Udonis Haslem, who's still on the team, stood up and wanted to fight with him.
Hey, don't do that. Yeah.
And I love Udonis Haslem being on the team because he still runs those sprints. He's
Mr. Heat.
Exactly. And having that guy to play that role on the team where, say, if I can do it, you sure as heck better be doing it. It's just a one-of-a-kind organization that, you're right, Brett, not only should teams try and emulate it, if they want to be successful, that's a good formula to follow.
I know we're tight on time, and we can revisit this a bunch of times. So kind of the culture king has always been Pop in San Antonio. They just have. If we just give it to Miami as second, I don't know who would be third? Would it be Golden State because of the championships, or is it really a culture? Is it really a Golden State way?
I mean, I would say it's definitely turning into one if it hasn't already become one.
I'm not so sure the next one for me wouldn't be Nick Nurse in Toronto for a way, for a culture.
I would have agreed with you going into the season, but all this reporting, and who knows if any of it's accurate, but all this reporting about maybe they're going to get rid of Nick Nurse and maybe they're going to sell the whole team, that could just be, hogwash and no place in truth. But I don't even, outside of Golden State and Toronto, who you mentioned, I'm not even sure I could come up with another name of a team that has culture. Yeah, but if they would have lost to the Nets in that series, they were going to fire Budenholzer.
Sure were.
And so,
that's right.
And so,
maybe they have too much culture if the guy was going to be asked.
That's exactly right.
That's interesting. That's a good question, Brett. We'll definitely have to revisit that at a different time. We shall. But we got to get to a break right now, and when we come back to start the 4 o'clock hour, we'll talk to Brent Beard from First Coast News in Jacksonville. We'll talk a lot of college football with him and a lot of college basketball with him. That's next on Sports Time.
Both 650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte LXS, PE 581,756, MSRP 21,985, Sorrento PG 183,422, MSRP 23,405. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/23 with approved credit. Dealer stock only. Warranties are limited. Powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Jeff, my man, what's going on over there at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah? Look, I know you got something up your sleeve to blow me away.
You bet I do, Randy. Gas prices are high, but we've got you covered with 41 MPG Highway in your new 2023 Kia Forte LXS at $278 a month, $27.99 due at signing, and a 7-passenger SUV ready to ride in a 2023 Kia Sorrento LX $378 a month, $34.99 due at signing. Both 36-month lease.
Plus peace of mind with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. And if I don't see exactly what I want,
I'll order it for you, and you won't pay over MSRP. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs.
I never thought about space in my cramped apartment, but in this house, all I see is empty space. The sofa and ottoman look like tiny islands in a sea of hardwood floors. I could get 2 ottomans in the living room, but then I'd need another sofa. I could tell people I'm into minimalism.
Anyway, when you save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto, that's the easy part of adjusting to the suburbs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you're at your best, you can do great things. Working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of yourself. Because when you feel empowered, you're more ready for life's challenges. BetterHelp is a great therapy option. It's flexible, affordable, entirely online, and it matches you with a licensed therapist. Let therapy help empower you. Visit BetterHelp.com/tryit to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/tryit.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes? Good news. There's a new way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. Call U.S. Tax Shield, A+ rated with the BBB. 800-391-5063 for your free consultation and let U.S. Tax Shield protect you from the IRS.
It may be cold, but the Gossett Mitsubishi Spring Sales Event will heat you up. Discover a new way to ride in your 2023 Mitsubishi Mirage and get 39 MPG combined for $17,520 or $289 a month and zero down. And check out 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport for $29 a month, 29 MPG Highway, or get 2.9 for 36 months. Want peace of mind? We Gossett with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. 2023 Mitsubishi Mirage, $289 per month. 2023 Outlander Sport, $429 per month. You won't go wrong ever when you shop Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com. You want it? We Gossett at Gossett Mitsubishi.
If you want it, we Gossett at Gossett Motor Cars.
Garage PHW 2846, MSRP 18020, Sport PUW 2230, MSRP 29545, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/2023. Dealer stock only.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you. And to start the 4 o'clock hour like we do every Tuesday, Brent Beard from First Coast News in Jacksonville joins us. Brent, thanks for joining us. And I want to start off with the breaking news that came out last week that it's now official. Texas and Oklahoma will join the SEC in 2024. What were your initial thoughts when you heard that news, making it official that they'll join the league in 2024?
I remember mentioning with you guys last week that with those reports that came out that it would not get done in 2025. It just sounded fishy.
Mm-hmm.
That there was still a path for that to happen. Fortunately, it did. It syncs up with the new expanded playoff. Now, there are obviously a bunch of questions that have got
like
to
a
be
million,
answered, such as do they play 9 or do they play 8 conference games? And I think and if that happens, who are your permanent and rotating opponents? So just a slew of questions to be answered. I'm glad it happened. Just go ahead and do it. But both sides really wanted to see it done. Certainly more pluses than minuses to me.
Brent, have you ever been to a game at Norman or Austin?
No, and I would be delighted to be able to check both of them off the list.
which one do you prefer to do first, or any preference?
I really don't, either one. I mean, I've got some friends that live in Austin, so that may be a good excuse to be able to see them now.
Yeah. I've done Austin a lot. I look forward to going there with them being in the SEC, but I've never even been to Norman. Haven't been to a game there, and that would be the last check off of the 16. I'm about to check off everything.
Wow, that's tremendous. Now,
and then I'm gonna check out.
Yeah. Now, Brian, one thing that Brett's told us over the years is if Texas and OU, and primarily Texas, ever join the league, they haven't been told no very often.
That's true.
So how they respond to that is going to be pretty interesting.
That's a good point. That is going to be one thing to definitely take a look at. But kind of looking at once they get into the conference, I know a lot of people have talked about how they'll set up the SEC in terms of pods or divisions, or just kind of get rid of all of it altogether. What do you think the best option for the SEC would be?
I mean, I understand to get rid of divisions because you don't want another, and this has happened frequently, and frankly, the league's been very fortunate that their undefeated champion was not beaten in a game like that, but it will get rid of that situation what we had this year with Georgia playing a team with multiple losses like LSU. To me, the most fascinating thing about this is going to be how we adjust to the schedule. What this means is that we start at week 0, and then the rivalry games that are played the first Saturday or so after Thanksgiving are going to be played the week before Thanksgiving, in the SEC championship game the week after Thanksgiving. I think my question, Brian and Brett, is, and I don't really know if the fans really realize that or not, but when they do, I mean, like for the Egg Bowl on Thanksgiving night, how is that going to be received across the league?
Well, it won't be on that date because, as I understand it, the Saturday after Thanksgiving will now be the SEC championship game Saturdays.
That's right.
So there won't be a Egg Bowl on Thanksgiving night. In fact, may have been my last one in Oxford with it being last year, because this year's in Starkville, and then 24 hits. As I understand it, is that what you're getting? The SEC championship game will be 2 days after Thanksgiving.
That's right.
It'll be the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Well, and maybe for the civility of some Thanksgivings, it may help that the rivalry games are played the week before. But
are certainly digestive issues.
Yes, absolutely, it will. So, but that's going to be very interesting in a lot of ways, though, guys. But it is how a lot of the scheduling is going to be changed, and a couple other quick things is your fall practice then means it's going to start at the last week of July. And guys, listen, and I know there's not a whole lot of them, but you think about this a minute. If you're starting practice the last week of July and you're on the quarter system, which means you don't go back to school until the mid-end September, if not the first week of October, that's a lot of time to practice
or do other things.
Having school.
Yeah, you're right that normal, say August 1 for August camp starting, that's going to move up a date.
Yeah.
I know most people don't care about this, but Brent, we're going to go back to 4th of July is 1 week, and the next week we're going to be at media days. That's going to move up.
It is. Great point.
I mean, well, how about 4th of July at media days? That'd be something I don't have to worry about. Bryant will have to worry about that because I won't. But I am worried about this, and I know the disruption that it causes to campus, to what these places primarily really exist for. Like, I mean, I know it's old-fashioned, but to go to school.
Sure.
But Brent, we're going to have, I think, every week Friday night game just for inventory. because
Great
if you
point.
had everybody going on a Saturday, there's not enough not enough ESPN and ESPN2s and U's and SEC networks to get it all in. I think, okay, maybe not every week, but say 5 or 6 Friday nights.
Oh yeah, or Brett, is that going to add another Thursday night maybe? To what
I think they're too scared of the NFL.
Maybe not, but that's going to be very interesting to see.
And Thursday's even more disruptive to school because that really knocks you out 3 days. You got to clear everybody out, say 4 o'clock Wednesday. When I do this, I hope people don't think I'm just tunnel visioned about Ole Miss. I'm doing it because then I do the other places, and the other places aren't that foreign from having to conduct business like Ole Miss. But I know Robert Kayat hated the few times that it would be a Thursday night other than Thanksgiving, other than holiday, because it was so disruptive because you have to clear everybody out.
Right.
You got to get all those cars out of there for the $1 million donors to come in and park. They come in and park where the chemistry professor normally parks.
No doubt.
And then you have the day of the game, and then the next day, if Friday night, Saturday would be pretty easy on everybody. But I don't think there's a chance of Thursday. But we're going to have regular Friday night games. And also, Brent, I know you've talked about it in every forum you're in. We're going to have some outside-the-box thinking about when to play rivalries.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Well, I wonder if some of these rivalry games are going to be moved to even the beginning of the year or just at another date. I mean, can you imagine some of these rivalries being played either in the opener or in the middle of the season, what that would do in that situation? Now, I do think one benefit that comes from this is that if they go to the 9-game schedule, that some of these schools will be, if you're a player in an SEC school, that by the time your eligibility is over, their hope is in the league office that you can play every school in the SEC at least one time. And because, guys, we've still got a situation. Georgia has yet to be at A&M, and ironically enough, they're scheduled to play in College Station in 2024. How about that?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we hardly see each other. I mean, we almost balkanized our league.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm bringing it up because I know it. Ole Miss has been to Knoxville one time since 2010, and that was the wild game a few years ago. Been to Mizzou one time since Mizzou's joined the league. Hadn't been to Gainesville since 2015.
Yeah.
I mean, people could just stumble by Gainesville and go to as many games as I've been there.
Yeah, oh yeah, and that's what's so ridiculous about that. I was at the Alabama-Florida game in Gainesville a couple of years ago, and that's the first time that Bama had been to Gainesville in about 10 years. So the question comes up is, too, I mean, it's nonsensical to have your better teams in a conference to play each other that infrequently.
You're not even in a league with them.
No.
And I know at SEC Media Days, Bryant, you'll get a kick out of this. At SEC Media Days, this might get me permanently barred bringing this up. But what about basketball scheduling?
Yeah,
are we going to play 18 games? Are we going to play 20? We can't play everybody twice. That'd be 30 games.
Yeah,
the whole season.
Well, that's a great point. And again, you think about the additional games to the SEC basketball tournament. There is.
Thought about that.
I'm not going to say collateral damage. I'm just going to say there are collateral changes here, shall we say, that I'm sure somebody in that office that makes schedule thought of this, but these things we're talking about, but a lot of people haven't.
Herb Vincent's a really smart man, and I know he's earning his money. But I've never been, Brent. But what's the bracket going to look like in Hoover? A Sudoku puzzle?
Oh, man.
Good gracious, really?
The loser. I I can't. I mean, look, it looks like the Department of
tournament.
Homeland Security
Really?
flow chart for organizational chart.
Well, hopefully it won't be a 2-week tournament.
I mean, you never know. Talking to Brent Beer, First Coast News in Jacksonville, and kind of talking about all of this conference expansion and talking about Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC, and then you kind of look over at UCLA and USC joining the Big 12, and now the Pac-12 has kind of restarted looking for more members to kind of fill those spots, and George Kliavkoff was in Dallas last week visiting SMU. What do you kind of think about that, and do you think SMU could be a potential suitor to join the Pac-12?
Well, there are a couple things here. One, now I understand the TV market here, and that's what this is about, in that the networks are encouraging these things more than probably anybody. But San Diego State, obviously with that market, they've got SMU and Dallas. Dallas, I think, is the number 6 market in America. To bring them in, to a lot of people, that probably doesn't make a lot of sense. But that's what these presidents and so forth are looking at. But guys, and you really, Brian, bring up a good point here, is because, listen, if you've got a situation here, if the Pac-12, if you've got any more of these teams gobbled up,
yeah.
I mean, how are they even? Is that conference even going to be existing in 5 years, guys?
It's a good question. I mean, I think if but is that where you add teams like SMU and San Diego State? I mean, what would you do? Let's say in 2 months or 3 months, 2 more teams get taken away from the Pac-12. I mean, what do they do as a conference?
Well,
or do you want to go regional with someone near SMU, and that puts the University of Memphis in play, and we're strong advocates of the Tigers coming out of this in much better shape.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. So these are things, and see, here's the other problem with the Pac-12 is they're the only major conference that have not yet renewed their media rights. So that, and again, they have had some really not so good management of that league over the last few years, and they've missed some real opportunities. And I can understand the immediacy and the urgency that they've got to get something done. Everybody may not understand it, may not be logical or geographical, but for a TV deal, they're hoping to get this happen without losing anybody else.
I tell you something else you're going to see. You just mentioned the geography part, the travel part of it. You're going to see college teams now travel like pro teams, especially basketball.
Sure.
USC and UCLA is going to have to do it. We're close to it in the SEC. You go off and you stay gone the latter part of a week. You stay. You go to the proverbial when they go to Rutgers. You go to Rutgers and you play there on a Thursday night, but you stay on the road and you catch Penn State on the way home. And even in SEC football, but the pros don't do this. But in SEC football, I think you could see a couple of the road trips be an extra day instead of going like at 2:00 on Friday like we kind of always have. Maybe go latter part of a Thursday.
Well, Brett, it brings up the question, too, do you have, on that charter plane, do you have more than the football team on that plane?
That's the second plane. I call it the people that really don't matter like me. We're all on the second plane.
Yeah. So yes, the travel situation here is going to be there'll be a lot of articles written about how they're going to try to figure that out.
Who steps up and pulls what the pros do, like the Patriots plane? Who steps up and just has their own plane?
Well, at some point, could they dovetail that with some NIL deal, guys?
Sure.
You're giving money that we're going to have with our NIL deals, but in the long run,
Delta's ready when you are, Georgia football.
Yeah, absolutely. So So while we're getting this done, wouldn't it be logical to go ahead and get our own situation here to where we can all use it, and with frankly the logic of it would cost us money in the short term, and it may save us money in the long run.
All right, this is total, just kind of taking a stab at things. From now until July 10th, well, let me rephrase it. Now until August 1st, you think there's a lot of conference realignment, more realignment news, moves, things like that?
Well, I think that's probably very possible.
I do too.
And to your point, absolutely.
And Memphis will be in that mix.
Yeah, with this window that we've got now, frankly, before the 2024 season kicks off, and again, we all know that it's not just limited to football, but football is what driving the train here. That is a valid point. I talked with a gentleman today who is who has been a consultant for bowls and so forth in college football, and I asked him that question, Brett. Ironically enough, is okay. We know Oklahoma and Texas are coming in now. Is the SEC, as an example, settled before this new TV contract? And his comeback to me was it would. And look, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but his comment was it would not surprise me if there was continual movement with expansion before the TV contract kicks in.
And when you kind of talk about this, obviously we view the Tigers in a different light since we're here. We talk about it more often. But when it comes to conference realignment and conference expansion among multiple conferences, where, from kind of your viewpoint outside of Memphis, does the Tigers sit in all of these talks?
Well, that's a great point too. And I can tell you this: I've talked to some sources at FSU who have told me that if that media rights went on until 2035-ish, that they may be looking at frankly a lot of people at this point. So look, I still think Memphis would be viable for. I mean, if the Pac-12 offered, would they seriously think about that? And is that where they want to go? Would the Big 12 still want to ramp things up a little bit, and maybe add a few more teams, and go when the iron is hot?
Or ACC,
point,
like you
I'm
mentioned,
sure they're looking
with
that
FSU.
hard.
Yeah, Brent. It's almost a million questions, and I joke. It's not just talk radio fodder speculation. Sankey, Womack, Charlie Hussey, Herb Vance. They have spent unbelievable hours on this for this to launch, because we need that 2024 schedule and news. I'm going to say, by by Labor Day.
Well, they've been announcing this thing, and they announced it this year. What, Brett? September, October.
September 20 or so. Yeah.
So absolutely they do. That's going to be important. Now, I don't know if they're going to roll out all sports at that point, but you would listen. Wouldn't it behoove them to have football and basketball done by at least mid-September?
I think so.
You have to have a pretty good idea, because, as I said, I hadn't even thought about what it will do. It will make for another full day. I mean, instead of 11 versus 14 and 12 versus 13 in Nashville, you're going to have a full day now on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, absolutely you would. To where instead of an abbreviated schedule, it would be. But look, the great thing about talk radio is we can play visionary at things like this, because these points are coming up. And guys, in these conferences, that they've got somebody, and it may be in a desk drawer somewhere that have got about a dozen different scenarios that they're looking at. If this happens or that happens, something of that nature, and I don't think they're going to make a move still. But the reality is, look, what if Notre Dame made a move over the next few months as far as how that would move the dominoes?
And I know Big Ten partisans will drive off the road and laugh at this, what I'm getting ready to say, but nobody saw USC and UCLA coming.
No,
what if?
absolutely
I'm
not.
asking the question. I'm not saying they're doing it, but what if Ohio State, the Ohio State, called and said, "Hey, let's talk. How good a deal is it?"
Yeah.
You got to listen.
Listen.
You make room for them.
Look. If you get a call from Ohio, and we're being facetious here, but yet we're not. That's an astute point. If Ohio State or Notre Dame calls, you make room no matter what you got, right?
And before anybody texts in or calls in and says this, nobody's getting kicked out. Nobody.
No, they're not.
So,
that's very true. Yes.
With what some have pulled over the years, they hadn't been kicked out now. They ain't ever getting kicked out.
Well, and I know we got to go, but the fascinating thing to look at is I'm just wonder what number these commissioners have got in their mind that they ultimately would like to, what we'd get close to. I mean, if you've got 16 starting in 2024 by 2030. I mean, do you want to be at 20? I wonder I wonder what those conversations are.
Well, it's going to be interesting. An interesting year or two as we iron out all the details in the SEC and see what some of these other conferences do. But Brent, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next Tuesday.
We never got to the Georgia situation with Mike Bobo replacing Todd Monken.
We got plenty of time.
that tells you how busy a mid-February in college football is.
Mm-hmm.
That would have never happened 10 and 20 years ago at this time.
100%.
It really does. Brent, thank you so much. Have a great week.
Thanks,
You
Brent.
too, guys. Thanks.
You got it. Happy Valentine's from everyone at Gould Salon and Spa. Go to GouldSalonSpa.com right now for that last-second perfect Valentine's Day gift. The perfect way to say I love you, to say thank you to a coworker, to a friend, somebody that's been good to you that you want to say thank you to. That Gould Salon gift card, the perfect gift, perfect color, perfect size, male, female, works just perfectly for anyone. Go to GouldSalonSpa.com right now and get that gift card and get all those great services they provide exclusive to our area. The best holiday gift for any season, for any occasion, is a Gould's gift card. The best spa packages, salon products, and those gift cards, they are the hit. They will be the hit today and in the future. All the locations, whether downtown or out east, there's one's never too far from you. A Gould's Salon and Spa is right there for the body treatments, massages, facial and nail care, and also Meta Spa services. A family affair, sons, grandsons, granddaughters, valuable associates, from a small hair salon to today's juggernaut. Been celebrating Valentine's since 1932, over 91 years at Gould Salon and Spa. They've been turning heads. Mr. Sam Gould had a dream to provide his clientele with a truly professional and unique fashion experience, and it's been realized for every occasion, for every holiday, and the perfect gifts at Gould's gift card. Go to GouldSalonSpa.com. You better hurry. You don't want to miss out on saying I love you to that special person in your life.
And let's get to a break. We're late for one. When we come back, Aaron Rodgers is about to embark on his isolation/dark retreat. So we're going to talk about what we would do if we had to go on a dark retreat, what we would what our favorite game we would take to watch, our favorite sports book, and the one person we'd follow on Twitter. We're going to do that next on Sportstime.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Brian Elder's Roofing.
Brian Elder Roofing, 867-0303. You've known the name for 30 years. You might even remember him from nearly 20 years on Kix 106 as half of the Young and Elder Show. Now, 13 years later, Brian Elder is the largest purchaser of Owens Corning shingles in Memphis. Call him right now, 867-0303. Certified and trained by Owens Corning to earn a reputation for quality and expertise matched by no one. Don't let them tell you it has to be replaced when all it needs is a repair. Call right now, 867-0303. He'll climb every inch of your roof. He'll go into your attic and run a moisture and ventilation test using state-of-the-art equipment to make certain you're protected from mold and other contaminants. You may be causing respiratory problems for your family and not even know it. We're waiting for your call, 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs.
I never thought about space in my cramped apartment, but in this house, all I see is empty space. The sofa and ottoman look like tiny islands in a sea of hardwood floors. I could get 2 ottomans in the living room, but then I'd need another sofa. I could tell people I'm into minimalism.
Anyway, when you save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto, that's the easy part of adjusting to the suburbs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers.
Los Cabos is famous for their authentic Mexican food, great steak fajitas, enchilada tacos, and unbelievable seafood freshly flown in from crab legs to shrimp, and Los Cabos handcrafted margaritas. Come watch your favorite game. 4 locations to choose from: Quince, Bartlett, Germantown, and Goodman Road. Take advantage of the Los Cabos Daily Happy Hour specials. Monday and Tuesdays, 2-for-1 margaritas on the rocks from 3 to 7 p.m. Tuesday and Wednesday from 3 to 7 p.m., Margaritas Jumbo, $6.99, Flavored Margarita Jumbo, $7.99, and House Wine, $4. Los Cabos Weekend Special is Jumbo Lime Margaritas, $6.99. Come to Los Cabos, best Mexican sports bar in town. Get a Sports 56 beer and lunch special starting at $7. Daily beer specials, all draft beer, 16-ounce, $2.99. Los Cabos, the best Mexican sports bar in town.
By now, you know that sound. It's the sound of the Home Depot. But what about those sounds? Those are the sounds of a new Frigidaire kitchen suite, complete with the latest technology to keep food fresh, dishes clean, and cooking needs met for all families. Making this the sound of savings on top brand appliances. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Get up to 25% off select appliances, including Frigidaire, right now. Offer valid February 9th through March 1st, 2023. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you. And there's been a lot of talk about Aaron Rodgers this offseason, and he, I guess, has a decision to make. Does he want to continue to play football or not? And he made it very clear that he's going to take a darkness retreat to kind of figure all this out. I believe it's 4 days of absolute pitch black darkness isolation. So we're going to have some fun with that. We have all thought about if we had to go on a darkness retreat and all we could take was one video from our favorite game, one sports book, and have your phone, but there's only one person that you can follow and see their tweets on Twitter. Who would those be? So who wants to start?
To really get away, first of all, 4 days is at least 3 too many.
Maybe
for
4
me.
too many.
there's just maybe 4 too many. There's just no way. And now it sounds like he's going to be totally isolated.
Yeah.
I could even when I get away, I don't want to do that. I want to have some connection outside world. Now I wonder where he is going, because I mean he's not going to a isolation room, is he?
You know what? I'm not sure. I think he might be.
I think it's just a getaway. I don't think it's an isolation room. I think it's just like a figure, get away from it all sort of situation.
Oh, so is he going to the Greenbrier? I mean,
no, I think it's like absent of modern technology. He's one of these he's got his own yogi or whatever. It's one of these sort of things. I'm
so
not
he's going to Mackinac Island off season.
That's what it sounds like to me. One of the private islands that only rich people know about.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Phuket, Thailand? I mean,
that's where Cliff Kingsbury is, right?
Cliff Kingsbury thing.
Boy, he got away, didn't he?
He sure did.
Maybe he was the one that gave him the advice. We really don't know.
You never
Maybe
know.
he would. All right, let's go in order. What video? We'll start there instead of everybody just knocking it out. And we want yours at 901-360-8255. Let us know. Call us, text us, let us know what you would do. What's the video for everybody? Bryant, you go first. The game that inspires happiness.
I had 4 that it was tough for me to limit them down. I think I'm going to go with the video from Memphis beating Tennessee in 1996 on the gridiron.
Okay. I was there November 9th, 1996, no less. Jay Morgan, what's the game you take that you watch and you know the result, but it makes you happy?
I think I'm going to go with, this is a tough one for me.
Yeah.
I was trying to think along the lines of what would be the most enjoyable to watch over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, I was thinking about poker main events. I used to love watching the World Series of Poker, but I didn't go that way. I went 2008 Tennessee Memphis in the FedEx Forum. It's a game that I've mentioned here with you guys. I watch every year anyway, and I'm a basketball guy. It's like basketball roots for me. I'll take that one.
Packers lost.
Yeah, I was about to say, that doesn't bring happiness to me.
But it's a great basketball game. I mean, I just love the sport. I just love the sport, I mean, no one missed for the first 4 minutes.
That's true.
I was torn with my loyalties, with college football, with Ole Miss loyalties, and then with Cardinal loyalties, and I'm going to tie it all in with all 3. Most people, and it is the number one sports night of my life, being at Game 6 of the 2011 World Series for the David Freese home run in Game 6. But I wouldn't take that one because I'm going to tie in a Cardinal tie with the book and a Cardinal tie with the Twitter follower that also tie in to college football. So I would take 2014 Ole Miss over Alabama game day, Katy Perry, October of 2014. I would take that and have Vern Lundquist's TV call, but also Davey Kellum's radio call because I was sitting one row behind him during all the intrigue of was the interception for Senquez Golson. I was literally down on my knees. I wasn't praying, but a friend of mine walked by and said, I walked by and you were down on your knees praying. I said, no, I wasn't. I was just down on my knees because it made it eye level with me with the TV that is set up on a stand trying to see his feet. I was getting as close to it as I could. I was not in prayer over it, but I would take 2014 Ole Miss over Bama, and the goalpost came down, and one of my favorite Ole Miss players ever, Bo Wallace, one of the heroes.
That's a good one.
I was at that game.
Were you really?
I was.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that something? I was at both of y'all's, and you were at that one of mine.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. My I guess runner-up for that one was going to be Memphis over Ole Miss football.
Which year? 2015 or the last time they played?
2019. 2015 would have been the one. Yeah, 2015.
The undefeated against undefeated,
yes.
and I was there, and it was classic, and it stung. I certainly wanted a different result, but that day, the best team not only won, it whooped them.
They sure did. And early, I mean, you remember 14-0 early. It looked like it was going to be all Ole Miss, and then Tigers just come back and dominate the rest of the game. So that was definitely up there for me. Okay, so now one sports book. I guess I'll go first. This is a book that I am in the middle of reading right now.
Oh, so you don't know how it ends yet, though.
Exactly.
That's why you would take it with you.
It's a thick one. If I have 4 days to myself, I can finish it.
I see.
It's the last folk hero, The Life and Myth of Bo Jackson. We had the author on the show a couple months ago.
Did.
I bought the book when it first came out. I got busy with work and with basketball season and everything, so I've not finished the book. But that would be the one I would take, because so far it is a fantastic book. Great writer.
And to see the Bo life.
Yeah.
I don't know that we glamorize it. And Perlman really catches it. He really captures it. But I don't know during the middle of it if we really appreciate it enough. And with that, and I think he was a superior athlete, but Deion Sanders.
Oh yeah, that's another good one.
Two-sport athlete.
Yeah.
Jay Morgan?
And a great Atlanta Brave. I am going to say, this is very boring, and it kind of is a peer into my soul, I'm afraid. Mine is not a novel. It's not a biography of any sort. It's called The NBA Coach's Playbook, and it was the first peer into basketball schematics that I ever got. Got in like 2010, 2011, and it's still relevant to this day. There's a forward by Huey Brown, and it's just a bunch of coaches with play diagrams and schematic diagrams, whether it be early offense or late clock offense, out of bounds plays, underneath, side out of bounds. It's all about schematics. There's no like reading involved. It's just going through schematics. I could sit down with that thing all day. So that's my book. Not a fun answer, but nonetheless, that's what I'm going with.
Huey Brown, a genius.
Absolutely. Yeah. Some of the stuff he had, and to be quite honest, I didn't have a lot of respect for Mike Fratello when I was a child, but I didn't know anything about basketball back then. And as I started to learn more, some of the stuff that Mike Fratello details in terms of schematics in the books, he's a very smart basketball mind as well.
Well, unlike Huey Brown, if you'd have gotten to know Mike Fratello here when he was in town as coach, you would have even less respect for him.
Just as a person.
Yeah, but Huey Brown in a league of his own, I'm not kidding you. You could go to those coaching availabilities and sit there and listen, and you could learn from him. Genius, very, very smart man. And it still comes through on his broadcast when there are a lot of, shall we say, seasoned broadcasters out there that need to face retirement. Hubie is not one of them. He still has his fastball.
Yeah.
He's seen the game. He's just such a smart, like you said, he's such a smart guy. He's seen the game evolve in so many ways, and he's just as up to date with what's going on now as he ever was.
My book would be a Cardinals book, and it was by the noted author David Halberstam, sadly the late, great David Halberstam, and it was October 1964, and it was the confluence of the end of the Yankee dynasty that was like the Roman Empire and the beginning of the great 60s run for the Cardinals. That year they had traded for Brock. They traded to get Lou Brock for Arnie Broglio, and also it was kind of the confluence of race with Curt Flood and Lou Brock and Bob Gibson and some players for the Yankees, Elston Howard most notably. But it caught everything, and for me it was so evocative of everything that I fell in love with baseball, and kind of, it was the seed that was planted those years for me being a Cardinal fan and a baseball fan first in Memphis, and Tim McCarver very prominent in it, Mike Shannon very prominent in it as well. I mentioned black players, Bill White, who later just a very honorable man, and later I think was president of the National League. He was very involved. That book for me is the number one baseball book. So that would be my book. I would be rereading for the umpteenth time that book and watching the Ole Miss Alabama game.
I thought you were going to say 3 Nights in August when you said it was a Cardinals book, which is another, but that's more recent. Tony La Russa, Cubs, Cardinals, NLCS.
Yeah, that was the Buzz Bissinger book.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, all right, the one Twitter follow that would keep you in touch with what you wanted to be in touch with.
So
right?
does it have to be a person, or can it just be an account?
It could be ESPN Stats and Info.
Okay.
And that was almost up there on my list because I think that account is the old sports page equivalent of kind of the scoreboard page, where you had all the standings and all the transactions and a few box score nuggets. That account keeps you up to date with a lot.
I'm going to go with the CBS Sports account. I was kind of torn. I actually, if you look, when I thought it had to be a person, I had Kevin Sweeney, just since it's basketball time. If I was to go on it right now, I would want to keep up with college basketball. Kevin Sweeney does a great job with his Twitter account, keeping people up to date. But I think, with CBS Sports, that follow, it's going to keep you up on everything happening in the sports world. I almost put ESPN in general, but I don't know. ESPN's social media accounts have kind of gotten away from the actual on-the-court sports and kind of more pop culture stuff. And if I'm in 4 days of isolation, I'm going to want to know what's happening on the court or on the field. So I'd probably go with CBS Sports.
Jay Morgan?
That's a good one. I went back and forth on this one for a while. There's a bunch of accounts that I follow that post basketball schematics and like the live, they'll have clips of actions and diagramming them and whatnot. But I went too basketball-centric for my first two.
Oh.
So I thought I'd change it up, and this was one of my first follows ever on Twitter. It's still one of my favorite follows today. It's a gentleman named Spencer Hall who started the blog Every Day Should Be Saturday. He loves college football on a national scale as much as anyone I've ever seen on the internet, and he does it with such his own personality and flair, and he's just a funny guy. And I have to say, Spencer Hall, Every Day Should Be EDSBS.
That's a good one. I'm kind of surprised you didn't go Rob Perez.
I don't
Really?
I don't want to talk about Rob Perez.
Interesting.
I mean, his Nick fandom comes out, and then he
That's a
just
good
becomes
point.
a
That is a good point.
I don't want to make any of my friends mad that I leave out here, and that's the danger of this. Is you can only really please one person and make a lot of others mad. But this friend of mine, and he is the biggest Cardinals fan, deep in the heart of Braves fandom and deep in the heart of college football fandom. Our friend, and often a guest on this show, Pat Smith at Jocks, because he's a Cardinal fan. So I would get my Cardinal baseball news and general baseball news from him. Anything pressing, anything that was breaking, I know I would get that. I know it would be reliable. And then I would get my college football fix from him about whether it was Ole Miss or any SEC or Big Ten or Tigers, anything. I mean, he is such a good follow on that. But not a lot of my other college football friends, they're kind of Braves, or other things, or NBA. Pat ties it all together, and I texted him, would he mind if I had him on this, almost kind of as a reference? And he said, no, man, I'd be honored. I'd be glad.
Get a reference sheet out. That's a good one. That's a really good one. But we definitely want to hear yours. So text yours into 901-360-8255. The game you'd want to watch, your favorite sports book that you'd bring with you, and the one person you'd follow on Twitter. But we need to get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
This season, we're celebrating how basketball is
I don't know if I'd take one.
On and off the court. Let's raise a glass of Hennessy. To all
Mine
the
would-
artists taking the game
I almost
to
said
new
Book
heights.
of Manning.
Hennessy, the spirit of the NBA. Never stop, never settle. Please drink responsibly. Imported cognac Hennessy, 40% alcohol by volume. 2023. Imported by Moet Hennessy USA Incorporated, New York, New York. Hennessy is a registered trademark.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry: Honda mowers, trimmers, and generators, Steel blowers, trimmers, and chainsaws, Echo trimmers, blowers, and chainsaws, plus quality products from Red Mat and Shindawa. And they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
Getaway Sports Bar, the best kept secret in town, open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Garvin, the owner, created this SEC NFL Dream Bar over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Rack them up on 6 pool tables. Coldest beer in town, grab you a pool stick and get you some good bar grub. 100% Angus burgers, big and moist chicken tenders. Daily happy hour Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. with long neck domestics, $2.25. Getaway Sports Bar, 4632 Winchester.
Both 650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte LXS, PE 581,756, MSRP 21,985, Sorrento PG 183,422, MSRP 23,405. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/23 with approved credit. Dealer stock only. Warranties are limited. Powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Jeff, my man, what's going on over there at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah? Look, I know you got something up your sleeve to blow me away.
You bet I do, Randy. Gas prices are high, but we've got you covered with 41 MPG Highway in your new 2023 Kia Forte LXS at $278 a month. $27.99 due at signing, and a 7-passenger SUV ready to ride in a 2023 Kia Sorrento LX $378 a month. $34.99 due at signing. Both 36-month lease.
Plus peace of mind with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. And if I don't see exactly what I want,
I'll order it for you, and you won't pay over MSRP. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswingerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you, and it's 4:45, so you know what that means. It's time for Big Number of the Day.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
So for my big number of the day today, I'm going to go to the NBA. My big number is 6.
That's not very big, Brian.
Oh, well, it's if you like I did on my sheet, I just
6-game lead would be nice.
That's true, but I just made the number 6 really big on my page.
Oh, I
then
see.
it's a big 6. You know what I'm saying? So my number is 6. Last night, the Trailblazers beat the Lakers 127-115. But in the second quarter, Damian Lillard made 6 3-pointers just in that second quarter. Lillard has tied with the most threes in a quarter this season with 6 other players, and it's happened 7 times this season with Anthony Simmons, Dame's teammate, doing Simons. What'd I say? Simmons?
It's okay.
An idiot. Doing it twice this season. While it's the 7th time it's happened this season, it is the 4th time it has happened this month, and we're only at the 14th of February.
Game
time.
I almost went 26, but I didn't. That fourth quarter, you talking about Kyrie letting him cook. And, Brian, if you think about it, 26 over 4 quarters, that would be 104. That would top Wilt by 4 points in Hershey, PA, if it really happened.
If it really happened, that's a great – see, Brett, you're learning. You're getting with it. Never happened.
But I settled in on my number. I can't let go of football. I'm sorry, I can't let go of the Super Bowl. So my big number of the day is 42. Patrick Mahomes' dad, his number of big league wins. Pat Mahomes won 42 games. He was 42 and 39 in his career, had 5 saves, 308 big league games, 2 playoff appearances, never appeared in a World Series. But 42 and 39, a lot of people would sign up to, I'd take that as a career.
Absolutely. I'd take it any day.
Big league pitcher, too.
Playing one game in the big leagues any day.
I can't get enough of Patrick Mahomes' dad, by the way. All the videos of him. I mean, the more I learn about that guy, the more fun he becomes. I'm a big fan of his.
He's a fun guy.
My big number is 32.
Ooh.
32. We talked about the Heat earlier. The Heat did drop. We talked about the Nuggets, too, and the Heat lost to the Nuggets last night, 112-108. 32 is a reference to the amount of close games the Heat have won. So the Celtics have 8 of their 41 wins are by 5 points or fewer, 13 total wins and losses. The Grizzlies, 6 of their 34 wins are by 5 points or fewer, 7 of their losses, 13 as well. The Cleveland Cavaliers, 5 of their 38 wins are 5 points or less, and 8 of their 22 losses, 13. So all 3 of those teams, 13. The Heat have 20 of their 32 wins this season are by 5 points or less, and 12 of their 26 losses, that's 32 of their 58 games this season have been decided by 5 points or fewer. 10 of their last 11 games. We're talking about the Heat right now. That point differential isn't going to be good, but that's a team that's learning how to win close games. Could serve them well later.
Sure could.
That's
Playoff
incredible.
time that will matter. When we were talking the whole culture question earlier, and you could even say that this was a positive out of their culture. How do we leave out Boston?
That's a good question. But with
and moving on from MA was almost a positive in, we can't put up with that.
That, and it was very seamless, too, almost that kind of getting away from them. It was very seamless. They didn't really skip a beat. Still the best team in the NBA.
Best team in the league. And without having Brad Stevens having to come down like Pat Riley did in 2006, I believe it was, when they won the championship with Dwayne Wade that year. He was already doing the GM thing, had to step down and become the coach again that season. Brad Stevens didn't have to do that. Like, seamless is the best way to say it.
That's interesting. And really, when you talk about the Celtics, I mean, that's even more of kind of that name brand team than like a Golden State Warriors that we talked about earlier in the segment as one of those teams to beat. But before we get to a break, I've got to tell you about one of my favorite restaurants in town, and that's Central Barbecue, where smoke is their sauce. Stop in for lunch or dinner at one of their 5 great locations in Midtown on Central Avenue, Poplar, Summer, downtown by the Civil Rights Museum, or the one in Mississippi on Getwell Road in South Haven for slow-smoked Memphis-style barbecue. Central Barbecue has some of the best ribs in town, and don't forget about the pulled pork sandwich. But they have more than just pork. Try the beef brisket, smoked turkey, barbecue bologna, and pair any of that with one of their great sides like greens, slaw, or my favorite, the mac and cheese, for a meal you'll remember. If you want catering for 15 or more people, Central Barbecue can do that. Just call 901-527-9990. That's 901-527-9990. and to ship it to family or friends that aren't lucky enough to visit Central Barbecue like we are every single day, head over to eatcbq.com. That's eatcbq.com. Just click the shipping tab to send that barbecue to your loved ones to get the best in town. Again, give them a call at 901-527-9990 or visit one of their 5 locations for Central Barbecue, where smoke is their sauce. But we need to get to a break, and when we come back to start our third and final hour, Bo Marchant will join us to talk some NFL and the Chiefs win in Super Bowl 57. That's next on Sports Time.
Hey y'all, it's the Mid-South Sports Boat and RV Show, February 17th through the 19th at the Agri Center. Come buy your new boat and make some memories at the lake this summer with family and friends. Premier dealers showcasing the newest ski boats, pontoons, fishing boats with huge show specials. Enter your chance to win daily door prizes like a surfboard from Counts Marine and much more. It's all at the Mid-South Sports Boat and RV Show, February 17th through the 19th. For more info, go to memphisboatshow.com. That's memphisboatshow.com.
At the Agri Center. So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you're at your best, you can do great things. Working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of yourself. Because when you feel empowered, you're more ready for life's challenges. BetterHelp is a great therapy option. It's flexible, affordable, entirely online, and it matches you with a licensed therapist. Let therapy help empower you. Visit BetterHelp.com/tryit to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/tryit.
I'm with John Fergus from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, I want to talk about our seasoning and sauce today. Our sauce is a great blend of sweet, mustard, and vinegar. It's good on so many items other than barbecue. It's good on pizza. People use it in lieu of ketchup. But our seasoning is the original dry rub, created by my father using a mixture of Greek and Cajun spices. People think our sauce and seasoning are good just during the grilling season. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's good year-round. Our seasoning is good on fish, chicken, chicken, deviled eggs, corn on the cob, French fries. People even put a dash in a Bloody Mary. To get a complete list of all of our recipes using our products, go to hogsfly.com, click recipes, and you'll see 50 wonderful items and dishes. And Brett, our sauce and seasoning is available at most grocery stores, and if they don't have it, please remind your grocer to stock it. And our slaw is also available at most Kroger stores.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
It may be cold, but the Gossett Mitsubishi Spring Sales Event will heat you up. Discover a new way to ride in your 2023 Mitsubishi Mirage and get 39 MPG combined for $17,520 or $289 a month and 0 down. And check out 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport for $29 a month, 29 MPG Highway, or get 2.9 for 36 months. Want peace of mind? We Gossett with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. 2023 Mitsubishi Mirage, $289 per month. 2023 Outlander Sport, $429 per month. You won't go wrong ever when you shop Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com. You want it? We Gossett at Gossett Mitsubishi.
If you want it, we Gossett at Gossett Motor Cars.
Mirage PHW 2846, MSRP 18020, Sport PUW 2230, MSRP 29545, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/2023. Dealer stock only.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you, and we just had the Super Bowl Sunday night, and to talk about everything that happened and now getting into the offseason, Bo Marchant from collegetopro.com and Sports Illustrated joins us now. Bo, thanks for joining us, and that was a fun one on Sunday. What did you think of that game between the Chiefs and the Eagles?
I loved it. It lived up to the hype. I think we all were disappointed at the ending, but I think for the first, 4 quarters minus the last 2 minutes, it was an exceptional game. I thought each team played exceptionally well. Big plays. The quarterbacks delivered, and I just think at the end of the day, it was a fabulous game. I really was torn between both teams because I really enjoyed watching and cheering for each team all season long. So, if the Chiefs scored, I was excited. If the Eagles scored, I was equally excited. So at the end of the day, I had no money invested. I had no team invested. I just enjoyed watching the game.
And you had your good pick with us last Tuesday on these airwaves. You had the second best pick. An NBA analyst topped you on Thursday. Our friend Keith Smith down in Orlando with Spot Track. He was 4 points. You were 10 points. So you were right there, Bo. But NBA got you. You got to get him come NBA Finals time. But it was that good a game. I had the very same sentiment you had. I just did. I watched every single second of it. Wouldn't have missed it. I just did not care who won. I was for A.J. Brown. I was kind of for Jalen Hurts. I was for Jake Elliott. I was for Kenneth Gainwell. But then, the Kansas City players, I love Chris Jones. I like Patrick Mahomes. I just didn't care. Now, Bo, I did think, though, that the call was proper. Did you?
I did not. I thought I've said it so many times on this show. The Logan Wilson call last year against the Bengals when they played the Rams, basically an identical situation. I think that call, and if you watch that play over again, the receiver at the bottom of the screen, it's almost identical grabbing. I mean, it's impossible to basically watch a defensive back not somehow just grasp, tag, pull, tease on a defender. I like to say that it's like being given a ticket going like 59 and a 55. Listen, if you're going to pull the flag there, let me just back up and go 111 and really do it, right? So I just think in that critical moment, because we knew once that flag was thrown, the game was over. There's no comeback. There's no last-second hurrah. And again, the Chiefs could have scored, and then Hurts could have just hypothetically thrown an interception, and the Chiefs run it back for a touchdown, and they win by 14. I was really, really disappointed in that call, and for me, that left a sour taste in my life. Very rarely do I actually yell at the television. My wife said, "You're angry today," and I said, "No, that was just a bad call. A bad call." So.
It seemed like outside of kind of the actual game in terms, a lot of people were talking about that one call and then kind of the playing surface in Arizona, a lot of players slipping around and kind of losing their footing. What did you think about that playing surface and kind of what is going to have to happen for them to kind of find a different solution to this? Because I think we've kind of been lucky in past situations, Sunday included, that we haven't had kind of a major injury on one of these surfaces.
Well, the players complained about it, but, both teams had to play on the same side of the football. And they each, you're talking 38-35.
Yeah.
I don't think it really hindered them. It might have hindered the defense being more explosive on the offensive guys. But besides their annoyance with the field and the complaints, as you mentioned, Brian, thankfully no injuries. And off side subject, I never want to see a guy get hurt, but especially towards the end of the season when you kind of get to go on vacation, you might have plans to go somewhere. The last thing you want to do is rehab. But I really thought that the field, both teams playing on it. I know there was a story I read, a crazy large amount, in the hundreds of thousands or something, where they addressed the field, tried to make it as good as possible. But it was a topic. But at the end of the day, great Super Bowl. And as bad as that call was, when you give up 17 points in the fourth quarter, you don't deserve to win the game. I think that's from any sport you're playing. If you change the points, the innings and runs, or points in the NBA, if you're going to give up 54 points in the fourth period, you don't deserve to win. If you're going to give up 6 runs in the ninth inning, you probably don't deserve to win. And if you give up 17, especially in the Super Bowl, when the defense is supposed to be one of your best assets, it's just bad ending for Philly.
And that Kansas City offensive line that was so bad against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers in the Tampa Super Bowl, the COVID year, it was that good Sunday night. Patrick Mahomes is that good, but he knew he had all day.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I think out of all the things that we've discussed or that's been discussed, it's that offensive line, protecting Patrick Mahomes. If you would have looked at the scoreboard and you said 21 for 27, 182 yards passing, you'd have said, how many points did the Chiefs lose by? But they were balanced. He was so precise with the football. Basically, every drive, it seemed like they walked away with points. And lo and behold, critical third down run, the 26-yard gainer, huge run, really changed that game. That was a critical play. Patrick Mahomes is a magician. We talked last week that he's so astonishingly good at what he does and what he's able to do every single time. He's just pinpoint accuracy, fun to watch. And we know he struggled. What was it last year? He had that just off. Everything was just weird about him. But he got that momentum back, his mojo, if you will. He was fabulous Sunday night, deserving of MVP, deserving of the MVP Super Bowl, and deserving of his second trophy. He's just a magnificent player, and it's fun when you think. I don't know who you talk to, but it just seemed like everybody was. I think the Eagles are better, but the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. It almost went back to we don't really care what's going on, and I think very rarely, especially in the game of football where it's 11-on-11, do you really put that much emphasis on one guy? Considering that most, I think, felt that the Eagles were a better team on both sides of the ball. But if you got Patrick Mahomes, as we've learned, that's a big difference maker.
Well, on the other side of the field, Jalen Hurts in his first Super Bowl appearance since getting to the league, I thought he was really impressive with 3 touchdowns on the ground, 1 through the air. What did you think with that being his first one, really kind of stepping up to the table? Obviously couldn't get the win, but I thought a really good performance from him.
Fabulous performance. All the critics, I think you kind of have to hush now and say this guy's legit. He's been proving it from day one in his collegiate career, and I think we saw it Sunday that he belongs. He's one of the elite. That play where he was under duress and he pulled the ball, spun off to his left side and delivered the pass. That's just an exceptional playmaking ability. I mean, very few quarterbacks can do that and do it at the level he can. He made some great passes. The pass to Devonta Smith that was ruled not a catch, but one, just the ball placement and the accuracy on that throw. He's exceptional. Again, 70, 75 yards. I think he had rushing and the touchdowns, and then you add the 300-yard game.
Yeah.
Magnificent. It's fun, guys. The thing that I really took away most from this, I guess, the Super Bowl or even the Final Four were there's no more Rodgers, there's no more Brady, there's no more Roethlisberger, there's no more Manning, there's no more Phillip Rivers, there's no more Matt Ryan. No Breeze. We are on the cusp of the next generation.
Bring
and if
it
we
on.
get these two guys, and Burrow and Herbert, and if we're going to have a fun
Lawrence
next decade, because Lawrence. I mean, there's a Allen. I mean, there's some fabulous quarterbacks that we get to watch, and this is it. This was the Super Bowl. I think the turning point. I guess the passing of the torch, if you will, where this is the next generation of the greats. And this is what we get to see, hopefully, for the future Super Bowls to come.
And Bo, very, very well stated. And I'm afraid sometimes people may listen to me and think, well, man, with the recall of the past and stuff, that he longs for that. No, I do not. I think today is the best time ever in sports history. And going forward, I'm always optimistic. I think it will always be the next great story. I had someone, a good friend of mine, close to me, that kind of at the end of Peyton and then Eli and then approaching with Brady is, even mentioned Favre, Sunday afternoon will just never be the same again. Yes, it will be. It may not be to you, but it will be to a lot of other people, and it's the natural evolution of things. Like we just spent an hour ago talking a lot about conference realignment. Look, I loved the SEC when it was 10 little bitty teams, and we were down here in our little old bitty hokey pokey southeast part of the country. I love it now, and we'll loved it when it went to 12, loved it when it went to 14. Now going to 16, and one of these days will go to 18. In the NFL, they're very lucky that they have these stars. And this next question is almost dumb of me to even ask, because I think it's painfully aware and obvious. But the face of the National Football League, it is Patrick Mahomes, isn't it?
It has to be. If not, it has to be.
And deserved. He seems like a really nice person.
Yeah, his character. I love watching the golf outings when he was him and Josh Allen played Brady and Rodgers. He's just fun, and he's competitive. These guys all are, but you just get the sense that he's a competitor, but a fun competitor. He's always prideful to his opponents. He's everything you want, I guess, in a face of a league or a franchise or a team. I mean, if you could draw up a guy currently where you're like, hey, let's have him be the shield, the logo, whatnot. He's your guy, and he's fabulous. We have him for a much longer time. His brilliance against Cincinnati on one leg, that could have been his best game ever, and that launched them to this Super Bowl. Best record in the AFC, and nothing to take away from Hurts or Burrow or Allen or none of the guys that we mentioned earlier, but he proved that at least this end of the season, and I'm sure we'll discuss it for years to come, that he, again, like you said, nothing that we don't know, but he's a magnificent and very, very special player. And I think he's a guy, we have a long time to go. But from the point where he started playing, he's been magnificent. Almost Kurt Warner-like. Kurt Warner just came in, and he was just blowing you away.
Wrapped up Hall of Fame in about 5 years.
Exactly. And I think Mahomes, if he quit today, you'd have to.
Cakewalk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we could always count the 7 that Brady's has, but at the end of the day, just say Mahomes gets 5, he gets 4. You have to say he's still one of possibly the best ever. You can't deny that. Granted, he has to play longer and show that consistency that Brady had. So, but I think we're in good hands. I love the way Hurts has established himself. And one thing I was thinking is that we were watching that game was, you think of Jalen Hurts, you think of Nick Foles, and you think of Carson Wentz. If the Eagles were to win it, and you looked at Carson Wentz's first year, and especially the year he got hurt, and to think that the Eagles would be, in 2 Super Bowls, possibly won both of them, and neither one had Carson Wentz as a starter. I just thought that was kind of a shocking reality to how quick things can change for every player out there.
Okay, I want everybody to jump in on this one. When they go to start OTAs, and for sure when they go to camp middle to late July, who would you rather be going to camp with, Jalen Hurts or Tua Tagovailoa?
Oh, I would pick Hurts personally.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah, I'd pick Hurts.
Jay Morgan? Here we go.
We already know what he's going to pick.
I think Jalen Hurts and Tua are very similar. I'd be fine either way. I'm probably going to have to pick Tua.
Shocker.
Bo?
How about you, Brett? I would go with Jalen.
Yeah, me too. And for this reason, among the biggest, the propensity for Tua to always get hurt. It's not his fault. It was legitimate, very serious. I mean, of the utmost serious nature with the dome. I mean, with all the concussion stuff. I mean, he's won more whenever it happens. Preseason game, opening game, he's won more from the league. I think for legal exposure, we got to set you down. You're done.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's them working with him and protecting him next season. It's going to be a whirlwind, or that's a bad word for it, but it's just going to be a carnival, a circus, if you will, just trying to
eggshell
protect him.
existence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, just the most benign. I mean, just the trying to bat the ball down. If the follow through goes to his helmet area, and that neutral league wide neurologist says that was big enough, he's got to come out, I think he's done.
Yeah, you would hope. Again, it's hard to say this competitively when he's young. You would hope he has a future ahead of him in the game he loves. But these are the consequences of the game. This is the weird one. I've said it 1,000 times. This is the one where you can kind of hide it if you can. And I'm sure there's been concussions that went through games this year where we didn't pick up on it. You'd like to try to. They have spotters, but nonetheless, these guys want to protect themselves from being in that exact predicament that you said, Brett, where you are under the microscope. They know if you have one more, it might get tricky where we say, hey, we don't want you to play anymore. You can't play anymore. That's the last thing any player wants to hear, and it's the only injury that they can not fake, but they can fake themselves through it.
Because they all view it through the prism of 26, 27, 28, 29 years old. I don't need to worry about when I'm 60. I'm going to be fine. But we know here comes the issues with every passing birthday from 40 and up with the neurological stuff.
Yeah. And that's part of being young. I mean, imagine, Brett, we're older now. I mean, there's the things that they could have told us when we were a young age that we would have signed up for, that right now we would look back and said, wow, that was a mistake. Every guy going through this 2023 draft, that they said, hey, this upcoming season, you're going to suffer 6 concussions and blah, blah, blah.
I want my shot at the money.
I want my shot. I'll sign up which round am I going in. And that's just the way it is. And, again, broken legs, elbows, torn rotator cuffs, those are the things that we know you physically are not able to play. But you can get hit. You can not see something. You can go blank for a little bit. React quickly, you're back
it's
on the
not
next
just
play.
socioeconomic backgrounds. You couldn't have kept the Manning boys out of it. They were going to go, no, we're getting our shot at the NFL.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's concussions like any injury. Anyone can suffer one. Anyone can get through one. Some people are going to have long-lasting ill effects from them, and we're not going to know that until it comes, unfortunately. And to think that there's not guys in this league playing today that won't suffer those symptoms of, the bad things that the Mike Webster type syndromes, the things that really get scary that you just pray don't happen. They will happen. We know it's foolish to believe otherwise, but it's the game we love. That's why 113 million people watched it Sunday. We can't get enough of it, and the guys love playing the game. And you just pray.
We couldn't get 113 million people to sit down in front of their TVs for almost 4 hours to watch the moon landing now.
Oh, no. Well, today's day and age, there's no way. I don't. Well, I guess there's nothing that we would watch. 113 million of us. Well, I think 118 watched Rihanna at the halftime show. That's what I heard. So you actually got another 5 million for Rihanna. So
how about that?
I guess depending on what you put on.
And she
there,
didn't do "Please Don't Stop the Music." I was so disappointed. I have it on my iTunes. I had to play it after the show was over.
I heard Umbrella, so that made. I'm a big Umbrella fan. So when she did that one, and it was a good show. We could always.
It was.
Critique,
I enjoyed it.
I tried to. I go back and forth. I can be such a cynic, or I can just be a saint. And at this Super Bowl, I was very supportive of the commercials and the halftime show. And this was one of the very few times we were actually at my cousin's. We were watching their kids, but it was a quiet day. But it was just me and my wife and two little ones. So no parties. I actually really just got to sit and watch the game. So that part I really, really enjoyed. A lot of times we're with people. It's hard to really get a diagnosis and feel for what's going on. Usually the next morning I got to watch it and replay to kind of really get the feel. But this one I was all by myself. Yet, I got to yell, I got to scream, I got to be me.
So now with the Super Bowl over and the odds have already come out for next year's Super Bowl winner in Las Vegas, and I see a lot of this more in college sports, college football, college basketball. They put out their way too early top 25 or way too early, whatever. But with the odds out, and you every week during the regular season, you tweet out who the favorites are right now to be in the Super Bowl. So let's do Bo Marchand's way too early. Who is in the Super Bowl for Super Bowl 58?
I can't believe you said that. I was actually going to do that in the tweet today, but I put the Derek Carr release. That's funny. I'm going to go with Kyle Shanahan and any quarterback that you want to give him, any quarterback. And I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals.
I like it.
Bingo. Same thing. And I'll tell you who I'm not going to go with. What I did to Green Bay and Las Vegas this year.
Big whiff on both of those.
Ooh, gigantic. I mean,
we got to
both of them may go into opening day 2023. Well, we know one will without their starting quarterbacks from 22.
That's hard to believe, especially on the Green Bay side of it. You know what though? Today's NFL, we always know one team goes from worst to first. It could be Jacksonville and Detroit next year in the Super Bowl. I mean, the league is so unpredictable. The way that these teams play down the stretch, you put it this way, you would just want to be shocked. I'd be surprised, but not just floored.
Here's my make noise next year that didn't this year. And I know they were a playoff team, but if he's back, Baltimore gets it right and Lamar gets it right. It makes a lot of people pay.
It's a good call. That's a good call. I was so supportive of, and I really thought that the contract would have been done by training camp. I remember me talking in Latrobe outside of the cafeteria, and we were talking about Lamar Jackson. I thought the deal would be done immediately or not soon afterwards. Lo and behold, it never gets done. He ends up not playing several games towards the end of the season. I don't know if we re-sign. And, the franchise tag, it's going to be tricky going into that second year. I don't think he wants the tag. Usually no player wants it. I mean, it's kind of handcuffs them. So if he comes back, I can't argue that Baltimore could be in that. But right now, I'd be reluctant to think that he actually does return to Baltimore. But the last time we ended the show a few weeks ago when I was in Mobile, we talked about Tom Brady and him heading to San Francisco. And I think an hour later, he announced his retirement. So don't hold your hat on what I think of Lamar Jackson's future.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to kind of see how that plays out, especially with the Ravens adding Todd Monken as offensive coordinator today. So we'll see what can happen there. But, Bo, we're out of time. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Stay safe, gentlemen. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Bo.
Thank you, Bo. Bo Marchant with us in the best offseason in sports. It starts now with the NFL. Bo Marchant with us every single Tuesday, and he'll be back next week. This hour of our show brought to you every single day by DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road and online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area where all the cars are test-driven and checked out thoroughly, examined bumper to bumper with an unlimited inventory of every make and every model you can imagine. If by chance they don't have it, they'll find that special car for you very fast. And no shortcuts taken at DeSoto Auto Sales. You walk in, you're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, and they care about your time at DeSoto Auto Sales, and they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience because they know we live in a world today where time really matters. You find the car you want, test drive it, credit approved, paperwork completed, hassle-free, streamlined, efficient. You're out of there in 45 minutes or less. It's a guarantee at DeSoto Auto Sales. Online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. Go to that website and look at all the very pleased repeat customer after repeat customer and look at the beautiful cars or visit them at 5704 Goodman Road. Come on down to DeSoto County to DeSoto Auto Sales for that town and country experience every single time. How about this? When we were talking about Patrick Mahomes, nice young man, face of the league now, great in the community, now a winner. I know probably those AFC West fans they don't like him, but most of the rest of the world kind of mostly like him. I think his favorability would be high. Aren't we describing once upon a time, and they turned into the evil empire, Steph Curry and Golden State?
Yeah. I mean, Steph is certainly at the beginning of his career was probably the most liked player in the league.
I think next door.
Yeah.
I think people are sick of the Chiefs. I think this Super Bowl cements it. People are going to get sick of the Chiefs.
Oh, you do?
I don't know.
What about it?
Well, people just are quick to turn
They
on.
just don't like a dynasty.
People are just quick to turn on the dynasty pretty quickly. But maybe they have success next year and then people start to turn. Maybe they get to the conference championship and then they turn.
Take another season.
Not that Steve Kerr is or was, but Andy Reid's not unlikable.
Not
I
at
think
all.
Travis Kelce's kind of the Draymond maybe of Chiefs Kingdom.
Yeah, I could see that. He's a talker.
But Mahomes is not unlikable.
No, not at all. But I mean, I think it could be very similar to like you said with Steph, because Steph was the most loved player in the league.
Do people?
But remember when we loved him?
Yeah, exactly.
I guess people do hate Tom Brady, don't they? Maybe not as much now as they used to when he was just a Patriot.
Yeah, because he just won so much.
Yeah, he just won so much.
Yeah,
Patrick Mahomes in there. That's a good point.
I mean, he just had it all. I mean, the life, the wife, the championships. Game Bob Kraft kissing him on the lips. Well, maybe he didn't need that.
Now he's got millions of dollars to talk about football, so we have to live with him that way even more.
But
no, he can get rid of him.
He's going to his dark space for a year.
That's right. Oh no, it's just setting up the return.
That's right.
And I don't think he walks right in and tells the Fox number one Fox analyst, "Hey, I want that chair."
Oh no,
because they were great Sunday.
They were really good.
People love Greg Olsen.
People love Greg
People
Olsen.
love him.
I love Burkhardt.
Burkhardt's
He's good
great
too.
as well.
I just don't.
How about a 3-man booth?
That's what I said. Put Tom Brady in there.
I don't know if they.
I don't think they would, but I just don't know. I mean, what do you think? I mean, how do you think Tom Brady will be in the booth?
Great.
Yeah. I mean, you'll learn a ton from him.
Do you think?
I just don't know how entertaining
If he'll open up.
That's
the thing. That's a good point.
Right, I've told you before, I've seen a couple that were going to be can't-miss post-football in the booth. Man, and I love him to death. I will push over people to get to Joe Namath, but he was so bad. He was so bad. Joe Montana, recently Emmitt Smith.
Yeah. That's a good point. He definitely needs to open up because he can I've never listened to his podcast, so I don't know how good he is with his podcast.
I thought he was great on Monday nights through the years on our state. Well, we could hear him on Westwood games on Monday Night Football with that segment with Jim Gray. I thought that was pretty revealing.
That's true. That's true. So
and
I don't know.
And I loved it when he either couldn't join or they were playing. Giselle would join.
See, I don't remember that.
It's a family affair.
And I guess Giselle won't be.
Well, I guess
anymore.
an ex-family affair.
Ex-family
at this point.
affair. That's too bad.
What podcast is she doing?
That's a good question. Maybe
the yoga podcast with their new instructor.
There's always a yoga instructor.
There always
Might have
is.
to check that podcast out. Ugh, those dirty yoga instructors. But let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll do What's Trending. That's next on Sports Time.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
We told you this was going to happen, and now it has. The floor model sale is happening at Family Leisure, lowest prices of the year, on pool tables, on those wonderful spas, on patio furniture, state-of-the-art, and of course the game tables. Floor model arcades are now starting at $1,200. It's your last chance for a 2022 pool. And floor model trampolines are only $2,100. That's the installed price. Family Leisure, I-40 and Wooden Road, where family and fun come together.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. Well, it still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or just go to eBay Motors and get it right the first time. When you see the green check, you know that part's gonna fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
Both 650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte LXS, PE 581,756, MSRP 21,985, Sorrento PG 183,422, MSRP 23,405. Includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/23 with approved credit. Dealer stock only. Warranties are limited. Powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details. Jeff, my man, what's going on over there at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah? Look, I know you got something up your sleeve to blow me away.
You bet I do, Randy. Gas prices are high, but we've got you covered with 41 MPG highway in your new 2023 Kia Forte LXS at $278 a month. $27.99 due at signing, and a 7-passenger SUV ready to ride in a 2023 Kia Sorrento LX $378 a month. $34.99 due at signing. Both 36-month lease.
Plus peace of mind with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. And if I don't see exactly what I want,
I'll order it for you, and you won't pay over MSRP. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time as we've got about 30 minutes till we wrap this show up. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you. And I just want to touch on this real quick because I saw it run across the little ticker at the bottom on ESPN. We talked about it a while ago, but it looks like Michael Wacha has signed a deal with the Padres, and I'm still on the side of the Cardinals should have gone after him for a little reunion.
I liked it when you first suggested a few weeks ago, and darn if San Diego's not in the mix on every player, aren't they?
I mean, they've got the money to spend, and it's going to be another dominant team out west this year. What do you? Go ahead, Jay. Say something. You're giving me a look. Go ahead.
I
say
said,
something.
we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. There's
they
always
got a bunch of all-stars over there. Dominant
Hey,
team.
doesn't always work out. I've seen a lot of Yankees clubs that it doesn't work out for. You just never know. Sometimes the small market club makes a big splash.
All right, how much are y'all watching MLB Network now that pitchers and catchers reporting, kind of having more live programming instead of just showing Field of Dreams every night or Ken Burns baseball series?
Yeah, I flipped
Bull
it
Durham.
on. Bull Durham, good movie. I flipped it on yesterday when guys started reporting. I haven't been at home much today, so I haven't watched it. But I'm definitely. I mean, it's on for sure.
Well, this is.
I've been there a bunch, and again, I'm gonna get all my complaining out. Once I get to opening day, I'm gonna have my baseball resolution of no complaining. But now the size of the new bases.
I saw some tweets from the Cardinals spring training from some guys down there. They said that it looks exactly like a pizza box.
And you know why they wanted those as much as anything, because now there's no more neighborhood play with replay. You can't just graze by the bag. Mm-hmm. And when you slide in, and so many of them, almost all of them, like to slide in hands first.
Yeah.
And Brian, that drives me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the only way you ever slid. You never slid one time in your life feet first, did you?
Oh, I slid. I was about 50-50.
Okay,
50-50.
I thought you prefer, but now you have to stay on that bag because they're just sitting there kind of tapping at you by just a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you're not on it, you're out with that replay. So they had to have a bigger landing area.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the base size? Because that seems kind of the least talked about change in the game going into next season.
I didn't see anything wrong with the old base size.
Yeah. Well, what they say, their theory, and we already kind of talked about their theory yesterday with pace of play, but their theory is that, one, safety, but also that it will increase steal attempts because now with it being a bigger bag, it'd be a shorter distance from base to base.
You know what the arbitrator says to people that go in there and want to raise because they got stolen bases? Get out of my face.
Yeah.
That's not how you get a raise. You get a raise bopping it over the boards.
That's
wants
right.
to steal a base? Who wants to hit behind a runner?
That's a good point. But it all goes back to let's get more people invested into the game.
What major league hitters can decide where they want to hit the ball anymore? Heck, everyone was playing on one side of second base last year. They couldn't even bunt it the other way, let alone hit it the other way.
I saw Theo Epstein today saying, well, the pitching's so good now that everybody was saying just go the other way with it, but you can't. I guess the pitching used to be bad.
I mean,
when has pitching ever been bad in the bigs?
Never.
It's called the show.
Yeah, it's just people are not taught nowadays to hit both sides of the field. It's whatever your power side is, just hit it that way.
And I would also say to Theo Epstein, I can point out players that play in the major leagues right now that can do a good job of doing that. It's just that there's too many that totally ignore that fact. Completely. So, I mean, maybe he's right that their pitchers, maybe pitching is different. Maybe they're throwing more inside fastballs or pitching towards the shift. But for the most part, I would call that malarkey.
I agree. But
it beats the heck out of a year ago when we were staring down. I was fearing no season.
It's hard to believe
not a pitch.
Last year. It feels like it was longer ago. But yeah, that was just last year. I mean, last year at this time, we weren't even talking about pitchers and catchers reporting. So,
but no sport hangs out every article of dirty laundry like baseball for everybody to see. I mean, every shortcoming in baseball, and I still think it's just so poorly led at the top.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's from the top down,
especially
for
in
sure.
contrast to even Bettman,
Mhm.
but to Goodell and to Adam Silver.
Oh,
Just
it's
everybody
light years
knows.
away.
Oh, just I mean way. I mean, if it was the proverbial racetrack, I mean, whomever at the 3/4 pole, and poor old Manfred hadn't hit the starting gates yet.
He just got such a bad temper that gets him into so much trouble because he just, whenever anyone calls him out for anything that we know to be true, if a journalist is the most defensive person, whether it be steroids back in the day before he was commissioner or all the stuff going on now, Rob Manfred, like you said, Brett, has to be the worst commissioner of the major sports in America.
Just so tone deaf on almost every issue. And if you'll remember back in the day at the congressional hearing where suddenly Sammy Sosa couldn't speak or understand English after being here most of his life and being very fluent in the comprehension of and the verbalization of, and Mark McGuire and Paul Mara all look so bad. Remember, the baseball official sitting at that table, that was not Bud Selig. That was Bobby Manfred.
He was
right there.
He was at the center of the whole steroid thing.
Yep.
There's reports out there, reporting been done out of the whatever it's called, the I can't even remember the name of the steroid clinic they all went to in Miami that Manny Ramirez and all those people went to. But he was at the center of that. He had his own investigative reporters that are bribing people to give them information. I mean, he just made such a mockery of that entire situation. It made it so if A-Rod, that's why A-Rod got so mad, is because he felt if I'm doing something wrong, the way you all are conducting these investigations is just as wrong as anything I've done.
On the evil empire, have the Grizzlies become the evil empire without winning one?
They're certainly on that trajectory. I mean,
I guess you can't be the evil empire if you haven't won one, but just disliked.
They're certainly disliked around the league.
Even Charles Barkley's
Would the
turned on it.
Padres be the baseball equivalent?
Who?
And mouthy as they kind of could appear to be?
I would say yeah. And I think Tatis probably added to that with the suspension coming down for the PED use.
Are the Bengals in jeopardy of it with Burrowhead and that persona?
I don't know. I
Hadn't
don't
won
know
anything,
I don't know if I
but
would
not
say
making
they're
a lot of
hated,
friends.
though. Would you say they're hated or disliked?
I think trending toward, boy, y'all talk a lot and you've been right there, but you hadn't had any parades.
Yeah, I can't really think of any super disliked teams.
I would say that could be regional, too. I know you're asking a larger scale national question, but I know Red Sox and Yankee fans would have the same answer and vice versa for one another. I know for me
they got chops.
That's right.
They got trophy cases that matter.
That's true.
Lots of them.
The Grizzlies trophy case, I don't think has been built yet.
It certainly has not. But
Well, it has one retired jersey. Although, how about this? I don't know what made me just think of this, but in terms of Grizzlies
you're
retired,
fired up about it.
I
whatever it
really
is.
am. Oh, just wait till I say it.
Okay.
The Grizzlies retired jersey. Zach Randolph has a retired jersey. It just sits on the wall at the FedEx Forum.
A retired record.
But for every Grizzly, a retired record, even worse. Not even the jersey. But when the Tigers come out and play, I mean, we got banners on banners. There's like 6 rows of them going around the arena. Why can't the Grizzlies?
Except for the NIT banners.
Yes, good point.
I love the banners too. I think but why can't the Grizzlies have banners? Why can't we all have banners? There's enough banners for everybody, right?
So you're saying,
but you've got to win them though, don't you? You got to. I mean, it's got to be something meritorious.
Specifically retired jersey banners, not like accomplishments.
What jerseys would you retire?
Well, Zach Randolph's the only one that's retired. But I want him to have a jersey. I don't want this little record sitting in the corner.
Tony and Mike and Mark all the way.
Oh, absolutely. I think who would probably be first? Obviously, Mike hasn't retired yet.
Tony and Mark is busy doing his Spanish basketball tour. So it had to be Tony Allen.
Yeah.
Should Powell?
Ooh, man. In terms of accolades and accomplishments, certainly. But if we're gonna play the game of what did you do in Memphis, you know what I mean? It would be because in terms of achievements for a career, Powell is far ahead of Tony and Mike Conley and his brother Mark even.
Absolutely.
But in terms of what they did for Memphis being the first team to win a playoff series even. It would have to be. That makes it a little bit different conversation.
Now Powell wasn't on a playoff winning team.
No, he wasn't.
So yeah.
But he was our first big star, rookie of the year, and what his accomplishments, whether it's team scoring, team rebounding, everything. I think you almost could have the weekend, like if you had the Friday Sunday game, that's the weekend you have it for the Gasol boys,
and do one each night.
Yeah,
I like that. Kind of have everybody here for it. You don't have to kind of schedule
but
two.
I love being at the Lorenz and Wright ceremony, and so fun to see Herb and visit with him. And when it went up, and then where I was sitting, I had to turn my back to the floor and look up the other direction where they're all hanging. And I'm sitting there going, "Boy, you're really old. You've seen them all except for Forrest Arnold and Win Wilfong."
Well,
can you imagine if you saw Forrest Arnold play, though? I mean, what a player he must have been back in his day.
Well, there are a few Tiger. I'm saying Forrest Arnold played when 54, 55 or so. There's a couple that still there's a couple out there that can say I did see them all.
54 to 55.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you had somebody that was 17. Or let's say 15 and 54, so born 39 or 40. There's somebody out there that would have seen them all.
And it's probably longer. This is just the
21,
54, 55 roster. So
he would have played
50,
55, 56 too. He scored 21 points a game.
Yeah, well, that's why his jersey's hanging up there.
Average 21 and 14. Wow, Forrest Arnold.
I know Win Wilfong's nephew John, who was a great player, and his dad was the late great Gene Wilfong was a good player. But I did not see Win Wilfong.
But a connection
they
nonetheless.
predated me.
Yeah.
Wow, Win Wilfong, 10 points a game. 4 assists, 5 rebounds. Oh, that's in the NBA. Excuse me. I'll go back to the college days. I was going to say
that's still pretty good, though. Yeah,
that's not bad.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
sure
good,
is.
Absolutely. That's interesting, though.
And real good is Jason's Deli, whatever location. Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova, all those locations, all those Memphis area associates making you feel so good and so appreciated, whether you're dining in, you're getting it to go or delivered. Wholesome food forever. It's a family thing at Jason's Deli with all those locations and with all these options that they have, like for a working lunch, the traditional deluxe sandwich tray, a salad choice, pasta salad, potato salad, the salad and sandwich combo, the deluxe client presentation, that's the deluxe sandwich tray, fresh fruit tray, the VIP meeting. They have all that. So many people for game watching enjoyed the beef eater sliders tray, the deli sliders tailgate package, appropriately named for our area, and then the desserts, the assorted dessert tray. So many options, whether it's in the restaurant or, again, if you want to have it catered, 5 or 5,000, they've got you covered. And in all the locations, the great salad bar, over 30 items to choose from just on that. Trans fat free, Jason's Deli, all about choice. Regardless if you seek a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, or healthy kids meals, you will be delighted. First franchise in the nation to be trans fat free. Check them out online at jasonsdeli.com, but check them out in these locations like Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova. For me, it's still soup season. I love the Texas chili. That's the beanless chili. All the soup's so good any time of year, and you can get that as well for a catering event at Jason's Deli. And if you're in Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova, wrap it up with the complimentary free ice cream at Jason's Deli. Check them out online at jasonsdeli.com.
That's interesting. You've seen almost all of them play. I've seen none of them play.
Win Wilfong, 22 points a game, 12 rebounds.
Wow.
In the same year, Forrest Arnold I just mentioned, they combined for 43 points and 26 rebounds a game.
And they branded Tiger basketball as a national brand with that NIT run when it was the preeminent, or at least equal to, if not above, the NCAA tournament in the day.
That's a duo right there. But let's get to a break, our last break of the day, and when we come back, it'll be time for Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Ceramic will not rust, but will provide the best radiant heat, keeping your food crisp on the outside and juicy on the inside. Step your flavor up with 100% natural lumpwood charcoal. Never have to add charcoal or wood during a cook again, and save money by reusing Big Green Egg lumpwood charcoal. Enjoy cooking temperatures below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between with ease. The Big Green Egg is ready to cook in only 10 to 15 minutes. Just ask Big Green Egg users how great the food is. Satisfaction has been our recipe for success since 1974, and our customers are our biggest testament. Come taste the difference with Big Green Egg and make your next grill your last. Available at Hamilton's Fireplace, East Memphis Ace, Cordova Ace, Germantown Hardware, and Garden Spas and Pool.
I've always gotten tons of UTIs. Cranberry products never worked for me, and I was desperate for a way to be proactive. I'm Jenna Ryan, CEO and founder of Eucora. We've worked with doctors to develop effective urinary tract health products. Just mix a packet of Eucora with water and drink it when you need support, like right after intimacy. Eucora is helping over 100,000 women stay healthy. Ready to join them? Get 30% off at eucora.com/radio. That's UQORA.com/radio.
Let's say you need a new car, so you go to a dealer, right? Wrong. You need to go to Mount Moriah Auto Sales. Why? Because why limit yourself to just one kind of car when you can choose from all kinds of cars, SUVs, and trucks? All different years, all different makes, all different models. Really good prices, too. Now, everyone says that about the money, but Mount Moriah Auto Sales proves it. They work hard to get you the deal you want, even financing. Plus, they have a huge full-service department to help you take care of your car. So many choices at Mount Moriah Auto Sales. They're almost unlimited, with new vehicles coming in every day. Now, these are really good cars and trucks and SUVs that you'll want to drive. And yes, low miles too. It's so easy. Just go to Mount Moriah Auto Sales, tell them what you want, but keep your eyes open because you might just find the car of your dreams. Mount Moriah Auto Sales makes it all possible. Go to MountMoriahAutoSales.com. Mount Moriah Auto Sales, right on the corner, right on the price, right on Mount Moriah.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Brett, what I learned today, and I've got to give Jay Morgan credit for sending this to me, and we talked about it a little earlier, but we remember a couple years ago, I think they did it again this year too, where the NFL and CBS partnered with Nickelodeon to do kind of like the slime game, where it was a football game on Nickelodeon, and they used a bunch of different animations and stuff to try to bring in the younger audience of kids to the National Football League. Well, ESPN and Disney Channel are teaming up for the first ever NHL. They're going to call it the NHL Big City Greens Classic, and it's going to be the Capitals versus the Rangers, Jay Morgan's team, on March 14th. Is going to be available fully animated, and I guess Big City Greens is a Disney TV show, and so it's going to be those characters animated playing the hockey game that's actually going on ESPN.
Brett, I tell you right now, if I have to watch Mickey Mouse in a Capitals jersey score against the Rangers in 4K Ultra HD, I'm going to fall out of love with the sport. I'm telling you right now.
That's the end of the
But the
Ranger
whole point is to get people fans of hockey. That's going to take you out of it.
I don't know about that.
I guess you got to try. I learned today.
Guess so.
I want to live in a world someday where Bones Highland and Leaky Black are someday teammates.
Oh, I would love that.
That'll be the team that I'm for. Like watching Leaky Black last night in his current team, North Carolina, though. National runner-up last year, that great tournament run. I don't even know if they make the tournament at all this year. Home loss last night to the U. Don't know if Miami can win it all, but they can be around at or near the end. They were last year. That starting five can go. When you know the transfer from Arkansas State, help me with the pronunciation. Omer Norchad.
Ooh,
for Miami.
I think that's close. Norchad, maybe.
Or did I mix up the first and last name?
I'm not sure.
Or is it
Norchad is his first name. Norchad
Omier. I'll be honest, I watched last night's game without any sound, so I couldn't help you with that.
When he's your fifth option, you're good.
No, that's a good Miami team. We talked earlier about maybe the depth not being there, but that starting five is it can go against pretty much anybody. What I could have done without, we talked yesterday about the pace of play in Major League Baseball and kind of some of the things they're trying to do. Well, I saw today that the SEC is making some rule changes of their own.
Clocks everywhere.
Clocks everywhere. I mean, everyone's doing it. I guess, you could make the argument that it's better to do it at college if they're going to eventually do it in the majors. But one that I kind of didn't really understand and kind of threw me off is that if a coach comes out to talk to a mound visit, to talk to their pitcher, they have 30 seconds from the time they step out of the dugout to being completely done with the meeting. 30 seconds, unless, of course, they decide to make a pitching change. But 30 seconds, I mean, you can barely even go out there and say anything to your pitcher. We're going to have coaches sprinting out to the mound to try to talk to their guys.
For a sport that used to pride itself on there wasn't a clock anywhere around, not even the time of day clock.
Clocks everywhere.
We got clocks everywhere now around the sport. I could have done without this from baseball. I'm so ready for baseball, but we get new rules daily from Clown Manfred. Now, when you can or can't use position players to pitch. Look, if you want to start your right fielder pitcher, that's your business.
Yeah.
You want to bring him in, you want to bring in your catcher to pitch, you can. It should be your business, just like where you line up your defense. It's the most administered sport going. Baseball is creating rules where I don't think any should exist.
It's going to be kind of a culture shock first week of the season when all these different rules go into effect. What I'm keeping an eye on tonight, we got 2 NBA games, Celtics at Bucks on TNT, Warriors at Clippers also on TNT. Those are the 2 televised games. And then in college basketball, the biggest one I'm looking forward to tonight, number 5 Kansas on the road at Oklahoma State on ESPN at 8 o'clock. That should be a good one.
That's a big one at home for the Pokes. Same for Providence at home against Creighton. Tigers versus Tigers in Auburn tonight. Missouri versus Auburn. UNLV, remember them? They're at home late tonight against San Jose State. The Mountain West Conference tournament is going to be good stuff. They've got 7 legit teams that could win that tournament. And the countdown's on to Tiger playing this week at Riviera, where he made his PGA Tour debut at 16 in 1992, but he's never won there. There aren't many places on earth Tiger's never won.
You're absolutely right. Another game in the Mountain West, another team, I guess I should say, New Mexico in action tonight on CBS Sports Network against Wyoming. So that should also be a good game. But that's all the time we have tonight. Have a great one, and we'll be right back here tomorrow for another edition of Sports Time.
Brian Elder's Roofing.
Brian Elder Roofing, 867-0303. You've known the name for 30 years. You might even remember him from nearly 20 years on Kix 106 as half of the Young and Elder Show. Now, 13 years later, Brian Elder is the largest purchaser of Owens Corning shingles in Memphis. Call him right now, 867-0303. Certified and trained by Owens Corning to earn a reputation